Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We're going to take just a moment to let folks settle in, get your coffee, your water, your tea, something to nourish you through this meeting. Get comfortable, and we'll get started in just a minute. And while everyone is settling in, just a reminder, we have a lot of folks in this meeting. And so if you are not speaking, keep your microphone muted so we can avoid any weird sounds, weird feedback. And camera is fully up to you and your comfort level. Of course, we would love to see your beautiful face. And it's a Friday morning Zoom meeting. So, share as you are comfortable. All right, I'm going to give it just another minute, and then we will jump into all the goodness. Again, please keep your microphone muted if you are not presenting and speaking, so we can avoid any weird sounds and feedback. This is so exciting. I've been emailing with so many of you, and now you have actual faces. It's incredible. I love this. Okay, we still have a couple people joining the meeting, so we're gonna give folks just a second. This is your time to grab coffee, water, tea, a nourishing smoothie, whatever you have to kind of keep you energized throughout this meeting. I love the activity in the chat. Please use the chat to connect and ask questions. I will do my best to keep my eyes on the chat, but I also have a team of Redline staff who will be monitoring the chat as well, and keeping us connected to all the conversation. All right. Yay. Okay. We are going to go ahead and get started. This is the part where I share my screen and then I don't see all of your faces at once, and it's not as lovely for me, but then you all get to see all the goodness, all the details. Okay. So I have a tiny, adorable ruffian right next to me who is Tina, my cat. And so I'm going to try to not be distracted by her terror, but she may join the screen. Heads up. All right. Well, we are going to go ahead and get started with our first learning community meeting for the 2022 cohort of Arts and Society grantees. Before we jump into anything else, I just want to take a minute to give you all an applause, a round of applause and celebration, snaps, whatever we need to do to feel the pride and joy that you all really deserve to feel being in the position that you are, having received this grant and being part of this cohort. You worked very, very, very hard to get here, and I know that it is just the beginning of the work. So we are super, super excited to be in community with you, support your work, and hear about all you're doing. So before I jump into presentations, just another reminder that if you are not speaking, to please go ahead and mute your microphone. We are recording this meeting, so we will have access to it after the meeting in case you miss anything or want to review anything that is brought up in the meeting. Oh my gosh, I didn't even introduce myself. I'm just so excited to be here that I didn't even. My name is Lattice Feliciano, and I am the Art Grants Manager at Redline Contemporary Art Center. And Redline Contemporary Art Center is the administrator of Arts and Society. We are really, really proud to be part of an incredible collaborative of foundations and state government agencies that support this work. And it is just a joy to be here with you all today. My role is really supporting you all as you embark on these ambitious projects. So today's meeting is really, I like to think of it kind of like an orientation. This is your first time gathering together. You get to learn about each other. So what are the other projects that were funded? What are other people doing? And then we're also going to go over some just kind of basic, important details about the program. What does reporting look like? What does marketing look like? And how are we, available to support you? So we're going to be going over a lot today. We have scheduled until 1:30. If magic happens and we get done earlier, we'll get done earlier. But we are scheduled until 1:30. That's a long time. We have one break scheduled, but it's certainly not enough. I can't sit still that long. I'll do my best, but I have a rolly chair if need be. But that said, please take care of yourself. If you need to run to the restroom, turn your camera off to sneeze or whatever, like take a call from your mom, whatever you need to do, like please take care of yourself. We want this experience and these meetings to be really, really nourishing and exciting. And so please take care of yourself as we are gathered today. All right. Louise would love full audio sneezes, according to the chat. So I think maybe, Louise, are you working on a sound installation? Oh, hilarious. Okay.
I wish I was working on a sound installation that was the harmony of sneezes that occurs during the AiS Learning Community.
I really hope to see this proposal during the next round of Arts and Society applications. And that's actually a wonderful segue for me to introduce you, Louise Martirano, who is our executive director at Redline and one of the champions behind this program. Louise, do you want to share anything before we jump in?
No, just again, as Lara said, I just want to reiterate how grateful we are to be kind of an administrator of this, because what I adore about this program is that it allows the administrator to kind of be closer in experience to the nonprofit struggle as a nonprofit. So as opposed to kind of the translation that sometimes gets lost between philanthropy and nonprofits and small organizations, like we get to be the advocates for your projects and also communicate the challenges that can sometimes come up in terms of accessing space. So we kind of love showing up in this space with a shared experience in terms of problem solving when you're trying to be community responsive. So just would love to be on your contact list as a resource. Lada's through this program spends a lot of time connecting individually, but I also just want to offer myself as well as kind of on the side by side with she and wanting to make your projects successful and offering any resources or support we can. And just, yeah, again, so thrilled to be able to be here with all of you today. And thanks for being here.
Thanks, Louise. Appreciate it. So before we jump into our presentations, I want to just kind of tell you a little bit more about these learning communities. You have 3 learning communities that you are committed to as part of your grant. And those dates are on your grant agreement, and they have also been shared in an email. But if you don't have those dates on your calendar and you're not sure, just shoot me an email and I'll send them to you. So this is our first learning community meeting. And as I mentioned, this meeting is really, it's a lot of orientation, getting to know each other. We get to hear all about all of the projects that were funded and just kind of learn about the structure of the program, as well as just some real administrative fundamentals like evaluation and reporting. The next 2 meetings, however, we're going to do in person, and we are working on those plans now. We'll have more details as the date gets closer. The next one is in June. And what we will do for that meeting is I will be reaching out to you all to see what are the things that you are needing. Where do you need support? Do you want a workshop on marketing? Do you want a workshop on evaluation in more detail? You know, we want to be responsive to the issues that are, you know, really present for you all. And then it's also a really wonderful time to gather in person, meet each other in person, and connect in a real kind of fellowship way. We have snacks, so that's always a blast. And we will be reimbursing travel for anyone who has to travel to be in person for that meeting. So I will present more details about that as it comes closer. But the second and third learning community meetings we like to do in person and really take as an opportunity to bridge these connections between all of the work you're doing, and just enhance the community that we have built in this program, and provide more professional development and support for you all, whatever that may be. So we'll be in conversation to decide what is best. And I believe we have Patty on the call. Patty McChrystal, are you here?
I'm here. Good morning, everyone.
Hey, Patty. I would love to just introduce you real quick since you're here, and tell the folks on the line who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Patty McChrystal. I do marketing and communications at Redline. So after this meeting, I'll really be in touch with all of you to put together a blog calendar. So that's something that we run throughout the year. And we try to highlight at least one AIS grantee, if not two a month. And basically anybody who's interested, you'll just let me know. I'll get you slotted on the calendar at some point throughout the year. And then I'll just send you some questions that you can fill out at your leisure and send back to me, along with imagery and things of that nature. And we share that on our Redline blog. And then we share that out through our email newsletter and to our social audiences. So it's a great way to get visibility around your projects and your organizations. I will also be in contact with you all. So basically the grantors who are involved in AIS, I have a communication process with them in which I will reach out to all of you every month and say, hey, please let me know if you have any cool, exciting upcoming events related to your AIS project that you want our grantors to know about and to share with their social networks. And so that's just like a Google form. So I'll send that along about, 3 to 4 weeks in advance of the following month for you to get that information down and for our grantors to be able to share out. So those are kind of the two main ways that I'll be working with you all to help market your projects. So I'll put my email in the chat and you can feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about the marketing piece of that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Patty. And we do have a few slides later on about marketing. So you will have an opportunity to see Patty's email again and a little bit more information on that. But that's, one of the ways that we want to support your project is to help you spread the word, help, share with the world the work that you're doing. Okay, so we are going to jump into we're going to jump into our learning community presentations. Thank you, Patty. Patty just dropped her email in the chat. So do we have Yana in the room?
Yes, Yana and Karen are both here.
Yes, Yana and Karen. Hello, welcome, welcome.
Hello.
It's so great to see you. So before we jump in, just a couple of kind of pointers for presenting. We are going to have 3 minutes per project to present. We'll do our very best to keep to that. And then I will kind of be MC in between, and we'll call out the next person as we move through. So without further ado, we have TRP Artist Internship Program with Yana and Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen Hamer. I'm the Tin Roof Productions Executive Director. And thank you, Laris, for just bringing us all together today. It's exciting to meet everybody. We're a nonprofit that provides wraparound reentry support for a formerly incarcerated artist, Cedric Martin, with whom we're working. And while Tin Roof provides that basic parole support, food support, medical needs, all the things that are required for somebody coming out of prison in Cedric's case after 22 years. It's Yana as the AiS grantee and our art program director who has really crafted the artist internship pilot program. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Yana, to talk about that.
All right, thank you, Karen. That's a nice introduction and gives a good framework to all the work that's been done prior to me having sort of the boots on the ground, hands-on part of the program. I started working with Cedric a year ago, January, online as a visual artist. Introduced him to one of my colleagues, and we began working together. And when he came up for parole, Karen posed the idea that maybe we could actually put together an internship program. So we went to work on establishing community partnerships. Cedric had a show in November at our galleries, a joint show with myself and Chris Alvarez. And we were waiting at that time at the opening for his release date, which then ended up being November 14th. So he ended up joining us during the month of November, jumped right into artist talks on Saturdays, saw his show, and it all started becoming more of a reality for him, not just something we talked about doing one day. Since he's been with us, he keeps hours at the gallery or the studios, taking classes, receiving instruction. Today he's working with a screen printer in our building for about 4 hours to bring one of his designs into screen printing on a t-shirt. He works with Chris Alvarez with figure study and drawing. And I sort of oversee the coordination of the schedule, which is pretty complicated between 3 organizations or 4 that have never had to work together before in terms of overlap. So part of his internship led to an introduction to a community organization that many of you might know, Concrete Couch, with Executive Director Steve Wood, resulting in employment that started in January. So now Cedric is also working with Concrete Couch. Our goal was to keep him within the community arts sector. And providing, you know, really just asking the question, what are you trying to do next, or what's in front of you? How can we help? Encouraging studio practice, providing space for him to have a desk and a place for art supplies and instruction.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Yana and Karen. I'm so glad you're both here. Wonderful. All right, next up, Dee, are you here?
Hello.
Hey, Dee. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. So I
You-
guess I need to talk, huh? Did the
Just
clock
tell us
start?
about, yeah, we'd just love to hear about your project and what you've got kind of coming up and planned for your Arts and Society grant.
So the Men of Influence Change and Make a Difference documentary series. What we've done so far is we recorded. So let me tell you a little bit about the group so you can get a better understanding of what we're trying to capture. So the group is made up of different gang members and community members in the community. And our mission is to help open up lines of communication between all gangs and factions so that we can prevent gun violence. And with this video is what it's a collective of people who live the street life and is making that change to make a difference in the community by using the influence that they have in their respective gangs and areas, whether you're a community leader or a gang member. And we create safe spaces for our kids and we do mentorship. So with the documentary, we have been capturing our journey through just capturing our journey with all of the things that we planning on doing in the community as far as making that change and making that difference. One of the things that we've done is because of this grant, we were able to go to California to film and record some of the stuff that we had going on that we're trying to build out in Colorado Springs, which is our football program and other things. But the thing that happened with that program, I mean, when we went out there, it triggered something else, and it actually impacted the whole group, and not only the whole group, but the city. So our trip to LA sparked talks of a ceasefire between all of the games from Denver to Colorado Springs to Pueblo. And we're noticing that it's getting worse and worse every day. So there's a lot of us that's trying to come together and prevent that. But with us not having this grant and being able to do the things that we're doing and actually making the revolution televised, a lot of the stuff that we're able to get in front of, because it would have been a whole lot worse if we wasn't trying to do the work. But to be able to show people the work that's been done and the work that needs to be done, it kind of makes it easier for us to do the work that we're doing. But this grant is going to save lives. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Dee. It's so great to meet you. And thank you so much for this work. It's so important. And I see you got a hoodie on. You're representing. Yes, love it. Love it. Oh, great. Well, thank you so much. We're so glad you could be here.
Thank you.
All right, next up, and we did switch the program around a little bit this morning, so thank you everyone for being flexible. Next up, we have Pop Culture Classroom, American Indian Game Design.
Hey, thanks, Lars. So my name is Matt Slater. I am the Director of Education here at Pop Culture Classroom. If you haven't heard of us, our mission is to inspire a love of learning, increase literacy, celebrate diversity, and build community through the tools of popular culture and the power of self-expression. And we do that in many different ways. We do that through free resources that are available to educators and parents, like our history-based comics, curricular units on how to create comics and how to create board games, our graphic novel literature awards, as well as you might see us at Fan Expo Denver running the Kids Lab or running our free professional development for educators. So this is an extension of the workshops that we do here locally. We are partnering with the American Indian Academy of Denver, and we are going to be running a video game design program with them. This is something that we've been wanting to do for a while, and we ran a pilot program in an after-school class last year, or an after-school program, and realized that in order to do this correctly, we need a lot more time than we get in a once weekly after school program. So what we'll be doing is 20 students at the American Indian Academy of Denver will be attending a daily class in the fall 2023 semester. That class will either be an hour or an hour and a half long, still kind of figuring out those logistics. And throughout that semester in that daily class, they will be studying video games. Specifically video games with a pro-social message. So story-based games, narrative-based games that are aimed to have an impact, right? In the video game awards that happen every year, they always give away a Games for Impact award. If you're not super familiar with the landscape of video games, there are many out there that are trying to make a difference and that can build empathy and social emotional learning and create awareness of different issues through the game's design. And so through this class, students will be studying those types of games, and then they will actually be creating their own game using a program called Dreams, which runs on the PlayStation. And while it's not a typical video game creation program, like Unity or like Unreal or anything like that. This is a full game design suite that just happens to run on the PlayStation. So it has a full art studio. It has a full music creation suite. You can create 2D games, 3D games, whatever type of game you want to create, you can be doing it here in Dreams. And so the grant is allowing us to not only purchase 10 sets of PlayStations, monitors, controllers, and games, both to be studied, as well as the Dreams game that can be played. But it's also allowing us to not only train Pop Culture Classroom teachers, but also train American Indian Academy teachers. So the goal is that out of the 10 sets, of hardware that we're going to be buying. 6 of those are going to stay with the American Indian Academy. We're training 2 teachers at the American Indian Academy so that when PCC is not grant funded to be there, they can still continue to run this program afterwards. But throughout the semester, after they study games for 2 to 3 weeks, and then they kind of train on the software for 2 to 3 weeks, the next 10 to 12 weeks throughout that semester will be spent creating either one or multiple games that cover a pro-social topic through an Indigenous lens, right? So things that these students see in their everyday lives, problems that they see that they feel like they can address through narrative and through gaming. We're really excited to do this. At the end of it, it's going to culminate in an exhibition event in the spring of 2024, where the students will be able to show off their games and to the community and stakeholders in our community. This also allows students the opportunity to invest in what they are interested in. So for example, one student may be working on voiceover work, while another student is creating art assets, while another student is creating the coding logic for the game. They can also be collaborating with each other, as well as people that have already created assets in kind of the Dreams universe. And so they might decide to create one game collaboratively as a class, or they might decide to create a handful of smaller games with smaller teams. But that is our project. We're really super excited to partner with the American Indian Academy of Denver and get some good social momentum here through video games.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Matt. All right. Next up is SOAR.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us. My name is Annie Drysdale. I am one of the stakeholders of SOAR. I'm sitting here next to Sam Gallegos, our Indigenous teacher. But SOAR is Storytellers of the Ancestral Red Road. We do go by SOAR. It is a Southern Colorado collective. We are out of Pueblo. We are a collective of traditional Indigenous teachers and allies, sharing cultural wisdom in multi-generational educational settings and practicing well-being and community-based focus healing through creative expression. So I, as an addition to being the grant manager, serve as our museum liaison with El Pueblo History Museum and History Colorado Denver Center as well. And so my aspect of the group is facilitating youth programming. So we do K through 6 programming at El Pueblo Museum. Sam and I taught in the fall a 15-week course, and we will again teach another fall 15 weeks. And then this summer we have the opportunity to do a 1-week kids camp program where we're going to be doing storytelling and do a full theater production with those kids. They love that. We do a full set design, incorporating often the 3 sisters and all of those natural elements. And you see some of the kids here. One of our first speaker series that we had in January was on the sacred hoop. And here those children are painting the 4 directions. And then at the top picture there, you also see from our first January event, I am so proud to say we had more than 120 community attendees at this event. And it was incredibly powerful. It was beautiful, way outside of what we expected, more than double, standing room only, but that was fantastic. And what that told us is that the community is really hungry for this healing and this allyship and this learning to hear each other's stories. And for me, that's the part I really love about the youth programming too, is that we're teaching the kids to listen to different stories. And I think that that's really powerful. And I'm very appreciative of that. I kind of got folded into SOAR because of one of our other members, Dr. Karen Yeskovich, and I'm going to pass it to her for just a moment so she can speak to the university level work that we're doing.
Thank you, Annie. Yes, so I'm a professor of psychology for 30 years at CSU Pueblo. 30 years ago, approximately, we addressed the Indian mascot issue and said, this is really inappropriate. And it took a couple of years and a couple hundred people coming together, Sam Gallegos being one of those as a student way back in the day, saying, well, this needs to not be happening. And so actually with significant change, one of the promises was that we would stop using a mascot, but start providing educational opportunities and actually, teaching about Native American studies. Well, 30 years later, it's finally time. And so the Atzlan Center started up at the university, and we, Sam and I worked on a grant with them as well to develop this course that we will now teach for the next couple of years, at least, hopefully regularly, on Indigenous holistic health and wellness. And so with the new minor we have in creative wellness, this was a perfect fit for us to be culturally responsive. And so part of that agenda was to partner with the partner with the museum and the community and offer the speaker series. So our students, you see in the bottom picture, they're painting the big rocks for the sacred hoop that we put out in the Museum Placita area for our first speaker series. And so we have a lot of activities that we're doing. We're excited to be coming up next month to the Denver Powwow, our class final, if you can call it that. We'll be working with a local horse facility, doing the horse human experience and understanding the role the horse played in the lives of Native peoples of this area. And so we are just thrilled to be able to bring the campus to the community. There's always a disconnect there. And so in providing culturally responsive education and arts activities, our big event will be in April with the Indigenous Earth Day Music and Community Arts Festival, bringing, again, multi-generations together to play, learn about sustainability, learn about what we can do to be good earth stewards, and celebrate our community and heal together collectively. So we have a lot of ideas. We're hoping to get a mural project on our Pueblo levee. If not this summer, definitely next summer. This is a 2-year grant for us. So we have lots and lots of fun and activities planned, more than we could share in a couple of minutes. So I'm going to stop there so I don't overdo my time. And Sam, please bring us home.
Real quick,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say real quick, I'm truly honored to work with Karen and Annie on the projects that we've created so far. It's been a huge response from not only the community, but the university. Linking the Indigenous community to the university has been quite the experience, and it's been really wonderful. One of the initiatives that we're working on is to bring Indigenous elders and Indigenous tribal individuals from tribes, not only throughout the United States, but Canada, Central and South America, and then beyond that, reach out to other Indigenous teachers throughout the world so they can come to Pueblo and do their Indigenous teachings, not only at the university, but also at the community level, because what we really want to do is link our teachings to the community and bring in multi-generational individuals to do that teaching, and then also expand on that to hopefully someday create a cultural community center and build upon that and do a lot of experiential learning, taking the community, especially the youth, out into the land and teaching them Indigenous traditional ways. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time. I'm excited to hear what you all have to say.
Right on. Thank you all so much. So glad you can be here and just so excited to hear about all of the successes. Sounds like you're building a model that maybe some other communities could really learn from. So this is exciting. All right, next up, we have our friends at the Western Colorado Writers Forum. Are you all in the room today?
I'm here.
Yay, Linda, hello.
I think Mary's there somewhere. I saw her face a while ago.
Wonderful. You want to kick it off and then Mary can join in if she's here?
Hey, are you there, Mary? Anyway, Western Colorado Writers Forum is an all-volunteer group. We're based in Grand Junction, Colorado, where it's a balmy 35 degrees this morning. We came about this project, Mary and I got together and wanted to see more happening in the community between two groups we feel that are left out of almost everything, especially in this area of Colorado, which is very conservative. And that is the elderly and the young people. And so what we're trying to do is start some dialogues and try to build community between these two groups with two different initiatives, I guess you'd call them. One is to have some living room conversations, which will start next month. These will be open to the community. And Mary, I'll turn it over to you. You can explain a little bit about what living room conversations are, if you would. Are you there? Okay, I can't hear her.
Can
There you are.
Okay, now I am. Thank you. I'm having a little,
Hooray!
yay, I'm having a little issues with my internet out here. But anyway,
No worries. We're glad you're
living room
here.
conversations are a way that people can get together on both sides of the aisle, Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, and we all talk about what's going on in a very calm situation, about no more than 8 people per group. We've decided on 4 different topics that will focus on social justice issues. And the first one, the American dream, age and ageism. And then the third one is belonging. And the last one will be hope. We've gotten a lot of response already. We're excited to start these conversations. There'll be one a month. And we're with the Art Center that is supporting us on location. So, and after that, they will give us self-expression, and that can be in written form, as in a spoken word, poetry, art, sculpture. And then after that, we'll present at the very end, and the first part of August, the festival of what we've created in our community from these community connection conversations.
The other piece that we'll be working on along with these community or living room conversations are the formation of teen groups. And we'll be trying to get kids that are already involved in some of our local initiatives to help give voice to teens who are on the fringes of our society over here. It includes Riverside Education Center, which is an after-school program, partners, the Colorado Mesa University Cultural Inclusion Council, some groups at a couple of the different high schools that are involved working with kids already, the business mentor initiatives that involve teaching kids how to market their art. But what we hope to draw are some kids coming to classes over a 2-month period that get more into the visual arts, into the writing arts, the performing arts movement, and hope to build a community of people, not just teens, but hopefully others drawn from these living room groups that can help send the message out about our stories, give voice to who we are, you know, these members of the community you don't hear from a lot of times. This thing, we keep morphing it into different things to start out as a fashion show. I think it's going to become an art extravaganza where we show showcase a lot of different types of things. We're still, you know, brainstorming different ways that we can bring this to the community and still protect the confidentiality of the people involved. Western Colorado still is very volatile as far as extremists attacking, you know, people who come out and talk about social issues and stuff. So what we hope we'll have at the end is a digital library of artwork and expression that tell people about, you know, the people in the community that have wanted to come together and let them know who they are. We hope people will come up with an action plan on a social justice issue that they'll continue with individually long after this project's done. So we've never done this before. We're waiting to see what will happen, but we're excited about the possibilities.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much. We're so glad you can be here and so glad that we can support this exciting work. All right, next up we have the clinic Rebrilliancy. Tara, are you here?
Yeah, thank you so much, Lattice. Hello, everyone. I'm Tara Reinders, and I'm the Executive Director of the Clinic Performance and Arts and Play performance company that creates workshops and performances in hospital settings. I'm a nurse, and I've been a nurse for over 20 years. I also have my master's in dance, so this has been a really beautiful way to combine my love and passion of nursing and movement in play and dance. And so I actually received an Arts and Society grant, gosh, in 2017, and that really was the start of all of this. I credit Arts and Society for this work and how it's continued to grow. And yeah, I feel really thankful to be here today and thankful for this support. Brilliancy, I being a nurse, I was really tired of the word resiliency and the onus that it put on us as nurses, as the individuals to do more and to eat better and to go for walks and do all these things that supposedly were going to enable us to be able to take on more in the healthcare systems. And so I created this name, Rebrilliancy, and really Rebrilliancy is remembering, honoring the brilliant and resilient humans we already are, and remembering that that's our baseline, that's where we begin, and that what we need are resilient systems and spaces that reflect back who we are. And so to do this, I am collaborating with Denver Health. I work there as a nurse educator, and I'm also a Restore peer responder. So I'm working with their Restore group, which includes Ashley Cornelius. She's the program manager of Restore, as well as a poet laureate for Pikes Peak. She's an incredible woman. I feel grateful to be able to partner with her alongside Maria Schimpf. She is the director of Restore, who's also doing incredible things around peer response and showing up for people in the moment. And then Dr. Claire Hamor, who has his PhD in theater and play. And so together, we're going to be training the Restore team at Denver Health to have these arts and play workshops be part of their offerings that they can give. So in the past, I've come in as an artist and given workshops, and then I end up leaving and they want me to come back, and I come back and I do more workshops. However, what this does, it allows the peer responders, the team that's already inside the hospital, to be able to offer these workshops at any time equitably to all healthcare personnel. And it also, it's really hard to find time as a healthcare provider to be able to do more and take on another workshop, no matter how great it may be. But we're bringing it to them so that we can have these workshops happen during their staff meetings or during a retreat they may be having. And so that it's already embedded into the system and really reflects back this idea that we're creating resilient systems and spaces for people to be seen and heard and cared for as they're doing really important work. So I'm so grateful, and thank you so much for having me.
Yay, Tara, I love that. I love just hearing about the growth of the program, and then, the kind of path towards sustainability that you're building here. So it's really exciting. Thanks for being here. All right, next up, we've got local theater. Do we have anyone from local theater company here?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Hi.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Pesha. So thank you for including us today. There are definitely some themes popping up in this particular Arts and Society cohort, and it's just a privilege to hear what everyone is creating. So a little bit about us. Local Theater Company is a nonprofit theater company specializing in original works of exceptional quality. We engage audiences through innovative performances that spark camaraderie, learning, and contemplation. We provide a resourceful environment for artists to take creative risks and develop their work. We believe that theater is a local experience. When you elect to join an audience, you create a new community where, for that brief span of time, everyone is a local. My name is Pesha. I'm the founding artistic director at Local Theater Company, and I'm a co-artistic director now. And I'm here today on Zoom with my colleagues Misha and Kate Gibson, Misha Zimmerman and Kate Gibson. We the People, the Democracy Cycle, addresses the Colorado urban-rural divide by centering storytelling to promote empathy and civic engagement across 3 communities over 2 years. We the People, the Democracy Cycle is a 2-phase theatrical project rooted in practices that evoke collective listening and storytelling. All of the events will be led by trained facilitators. Participants explore questions of health, safety, class, access, climate change, economics, or other critical issues affecting Coloradans. The discourse emerges through conversation, but also through exercises in physical movement, improvisation, music, and writing prompts. And my colleague Kate is going to take it from here.
With partners in Boulder, Denver, and Gunnison, Colorado, including the Boulder Library Foundation, Curious Theater Company, and Gunnison Valley Theater Festival. We'll start with 3 different ensembles. There's a lead ensemble composed of professional artists, resident producer, 2 director facilitators, and a composer music director. This team will be consistent across all of the projects. The host ensemble is composed of a community-specific ensemble of professional artists and advocates, including a community ambassador, host theater ambassador, host library ambassador, writer, and 3 performing artists. And then there's a community ensemble composed of community members who are not traditional, who may or may not be traditional theater makers. Up to 25 participants in each of the 3 communities will assemble to participate in workshops and story circles, to be engaged in a first set of bridge presentations that are created out of those workshops, and then a final piece culminating that is consistent and travels to all 3 of the locations. Pasha, will you share a little bit more about our team?
So a little bit more about local and how it sort of is evolving as a company. In 2022, to increase creativity and ensure diversity, Local shifted from a single leader model to a shared model of artistic leadership. The board of directors echoed the model with co-chair leadership. This shift resulted in programmatic expansion in education and community engagement. For example, a record number of 140 submissions for our new Play Lab. Blah, blah. Can you tell I'm reading this morning? We received over 140 submissions for local lab new play festival, and our world premiere productions for new audiences grew by 60%. Local theater company's team of associate artists, board member, and staff include more than 60 people covering a wide breadth of industries, backgrounds, and skills. The Democracy Cycle leverages this talented team alongside our partners in Denver and Gunnison to engage communities and meet people exactly where they are, which may include some of you. So I actually just popped in our contact information. If you want more information, we've been hearing about work with nurses, hearing about SOAR. I mean, I could just go on and on. We've been furiously typing in the chat to each other, to Misha, Kate, and I, because it would be just an honor to have some more conversations about your communities and how we can include them. So thank you, everyone. Again, a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. And that's spot on. Why we're here is to just be like endlessly inspired and also comforted knowing like you're not alone. Like there's other people across the state who are doing incredible and hard work. And so we're really building our power here. So before I jump on to the next presentation, I just want to say that Louise is going to say goodbye for now. So goodbye, Louise. Thanks for being here.
Bye, guys.
We appreciate you. And Patty is still on right now. So as things come up in the chat, you know, we still got eyes on the chat as well, just so everyone knows. All right, next up, Miss Sandy, are you in the room? Sandy. Oh, I see you. Are you muted?
It's hard to mute me. I did it. Anyway,
there you go.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, it's so great to see you.
Thank you. Wisdom Archives of Orfano County. This is so fun. And there's so many pieces of what we're doing that relate back to things that other people are doing. I want to talk to everybody. And the first Art and Society grant we ever got goes back to working with Sam Gallegos and working on changing the mascot down here. I'm going to give you my elevator speech. Wauwatoya Heritage Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit headquartered in La Veta, Colorado. Our mission is to promote cultural equity. I'm changing equity to preservation. Equity is a wonderful term, and I used it because it didn't mean anything and it meant everything. But cultural preservation is really what we're doing. We've identified our purpose as the preservation of Colorado heritage through the exploration and sharing of culture, language, art, and spiritual beliefs, both independently and in collaboration with other like-minded agencies in Southern Colorado. We provide relevant programming through art, education, and presentation. We have particular interest in honoring those that came before, especially Hispano and Native American cultures. Last year, we had a grant through another agency that we called El Arte de Nuestros Abuelos, the art of our grandparents. And it was so fun and so neat in working on elders in Orfano County with the wisdom keepers becoming the wisdom sharers. And through collaboration in our little county and smart use of our monies and pooling things together, over 60 events last year. It was just amazing. Some of the things that were the most fun was the pop-up museums in trying to key in on some of the historical things, places, and people. Our 60 events, we did everything from epigenetics that Air Force Academy professors came down and taught to herbal medicine with Teresa de Jesus Vigil out of San Luis, who's 92 years old. And we had monthly arts and crafts things that we tried to use all olders and elders to be our instructors. And that has been so good, but it's as much a mental health thing as it is the arts and the sharing. And I've just recently dubbed it it's our own version of an AA meeting. I'm here and I'm supporting you. The new grant is Wisdom Archives of Orfano County to build on the rich history and legacy. And we've leveraged several other grants to work with the project. And we have this main project that fell out of it that's called a pictorial archive of the 25 founding Hispanic families in Orfano County, working with some great people that one was Ron Sandoval, was genealogist, and Sylvia Brando has been collecting pictures for a long time. And it has just exploded into something that's truly, truly wonderful. We've got more pictures, and we just picked the 25 number rather arbitrarily. We could do a whole bunch more, but what we've got coming up that's real important is on May 27th, with the Saturday and Memorial Day, we will have an event with the museum here in La Vida. We have Velcro boards, so we're going to actually have 36 foot, because we use front and back, of pictures from 1850s through the 1900s of the founding families and a little bit of their histories. That evening, we're doing a dance at the Eagles. We're going to have a fandango. We're using Dynamix, which is a local Walsenburg band that doesn't get much respect in Walsenburg, but lots of respect up and down the Front Range, that specializes in the music of Northern New Mexico and Tejano music. The next day, we have an all-day event at the museum, at the community center in Walsenburg we have an amazing lineup of speakers to talk about the heritage. I've also partnered with Warm Cookies of the Revolution, and we've worked on a project down here called Fuentes, trying to build a bridge we've got 3 different communities that are all over the place. We've got Hispanic culture, to a certain extent, a smaller Native American culture, but most of our Hispano families have Native roots. And then the generational gaps. We're the second oldest county in the state. So pulling all this together, and it's all coming together absolutely beautifully under this our pictorial archive project. So Adrian Molina from Warm Cookies is going to be our moderator on the 28th, and we're so excited. We're continuing our Art of the Abuelos, our AA program, and have about 100 other things planned to do this year. Interesting to the people in Pueblo, I've been in contact with Eric Carpio, and we're going to take our 25 project to the museum in Fort Garland, and he'd like us to bring it to the museum in Pueblo too. So the tentacles are reaching out and grabbing all of us. And then Arthur Shortbull is our president of our board of directors, and he is having a 30-year retrospective August 27th. That's sponsored by Redline, and I'm so pleased that they're going to honor him. He's such a neat, although not a man of many words, neat guy. So thanks to Redline for doing that. And that's sort of my spiel.
Thank you, Sandy. We are so, so excited about everything you just said.
Just like me, I'm always excited about something.
Yes, full of energy. And, you know, Sandy, Tara, there's a couple other folks on this call who are returning grantees, and they've been through this, they know it. So feel free to, I'm just volunteering you, Sandy, feel free to lean on each other and lean on these grantees who have been through the program before. Right on. So next up, we have Deborah. You are here. You made it. So glad, from Blue Sage.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to say that I am honored to be a part of this group, because every project that I'm hearing about is just so wonderful. And we're not alone. We're all trying to make changes in our community. So thank you for that. Story Share is a project that we started 2 years ago. And thanks to the grant that we received from Arts and Society, we're going to be able to expand this program into other Colorado communities who are part of the Smithsonian exhibit starting in the fall of 2023 and going into 2024. So what Story Share is, you know, story sharing is the most powerful ways that we connect to ourselves, to others, and to the human experience. And our goal with Story Share is to bring various segments of the community together through the stories to create a safe space to tell those stories, to listen to the stories of others, and to build empathy for one another. And how we do this is we have community members and we record their stories. And then we take those stories and those videos and we give those to writers and artists.
Oh, this is cool.
And the writers and artists will listen to the video, and then inspired by that story, they will produce their own creative expression through the written word and through visual art. This all culminates in a community event where the videos, a short clip of the videos is told, and we do provide the whole video on our website for people to listen to the whole story. But just because of time, we shorten those videos. The artist then gets up and talks about how they were inspired, and they're showing their piece of art. The writer then gets up and reads the piece that they produced, and then it all culminates in CU Boulder Playback Theater giving their interpretation of all of it, of the story, of the written word, of the art, and of the people that are attending the event. We have people that have built friendships through this program from different segments of the community, people who would never have connected, but they do. And it is proving to be very powerful for everyone involved. We will have people coming in for a week later, just saying how they've been impacted by it. People laugh and people cry. And it's just a wonderful thing to be a part of. Now, the CU Boulder Playback Theater, they use a special project. It's called Critical Conversations. It's a well-developed and tested playback theater that facilitates conversations. It is practiced in over 30 countries. And like I said before, it does kind of bring everything together. So yeah, that's basically the program.
Wonderful.
And we'll be working
you
this year with bringing this program to Walsenburg and Trinidad.
So exciting. Thank you so much, Deborah.
Sure.
All right, next up we have Warm Cookies of the Revolution, who was just mentioned in Sandy's presentation. So we are all connected. It's beautiful. Warm Cookies, are you here?
Yes, here. Can you hear me?
Yes, hey, Evan.
All right, hello. Well, I'm excited to be here with y'all as well. And I was gonna let you know, my daughter just turned 3 and she told me a joke and I was upset that I'd never heard it. So I'm gonna tell it to you all right now. Why did the chicken cross the road? Because I never heard it before. Thought it was pretty good. Okay. Our project is quite simple in many ways. We're gonna make a kids show video series. We don't know. We have so many question marks on it, but that's essentially what it is. If you've ever seen Sesame Street, we're gonna be trying to do a version of that. The reason why and the story behind it is maybe the interesting bit is so we got connected with these 3 guys, Ahmed, Fahim, and Shams, and they all worked on Sesame Street in Afghanistan, and in different capacities. And they were all recently resettled here in the whenever that was, in the past year or so. And they really would like to produce something for Afghan kids here who have been resettled in mostly in Aurora. And when they first got here to the US, they brought a few puppets with them. One of them did, who's a puppeteer, and they performed a little bit outside on this Air Force base where they were first brought to for some of the kids. And so they'd like to do some more of that. And so that's what we're gonna do. We do have a connection with Sesame Street itself. We're not sure how much they're gonna actually help out. They are gonna help out in terms of a lot of the emotional resources they already have in Dari and in Pashto, the main languages that people speak, and some of the resources around your feelings, what it's like to leave your home and everyone you love, and then come to this very strange new place where all the smells and the sounds and everything is new. But most likely what we're going to create is not going to be like actual Sesame Street or Sesame Street characters, but that's what it is, esque. I mean, that really is it. It's an interesting process. We Warm Cookies, we have a big kind of universe of different artists. We all kind of do different things. And we usually work pretty deeply and pretty quickly. And this process we know is going to be probably quite slow. All 3 of these guys, they work for the largest media company in Asia, or one of them. And they do really cool work, video graphics and motion graphics and puppeteering and voices. But being here is a tough thing to do. They're working at DIA and driving for DHL. And they're really busy people, and it's very hard around here. And 2 of them, their wives and 2 kids, are still back in Afghanistan, and they're pretty focused on trying to get them over here. So all that to be said, we're gonna make it. It's gonna be fun, and we're excited. So yeah, look forward to connecting with y'all and hearing more about your projects. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Evan. I'm so excited for this. And thank you for the joke. I also really just love the idea of thinking about the WCU, the Warm Cookies universe. You've been building it for years, so it's real exciting. Awesome. Okay, so next up, we have Colorado Music Bridge. We have someone from Impact Music Program in the room.
Hey.
Hey, Aaron.
Hi. Yeah, my name is Aaron Marfiso. I am the co-executive director for Colorado Music Bridge, and really grateful for Arts and Society for granting us on this program. Real quick, Music Bridge, we offer modern music education, and that's kind of how we got our start, going into community centers that just didn't have music programs, schools and community centers. And over the course of doing that, we realized that a lot of these communities are really traumatized. It's really difficult to be able to give a music lesson when little kiddos are just dysregulated. So we're trying to really get kind of the base needs sorted out first, and so we've partnered with another organization which I believe is also a Arts and Society grantee called Youth Resiliency, and they've been advising us a bit, as well as just doing research on our own, and we've been collaborating with them to offer the Impact Music program, and have kind of created a whole like pedagogy and curricula kind of series based on evidence-based practices in the context of modern music education. So yeah, that's essentially the kind of the core of the idea, and then the implementation is we're going into Gilliam Youth Service Center, which is located in 5 Points in Denver, and these are youth who have been detained for different various reasons, but normally some more serious stuff, and we had already had a partnership with them for like once a week, but it was only going to last maybe like half a semester. They were seriously underfunded, and really grateful for Arts and Society for helping us increase to 2 days a week, and we'll be able to like go the whole calendar year now, so that's really exciting. Yeah, I think that's kind of it in a nutshell. Here I actually have like a little PowerPoint that I'll throw in the chat if anybody feels so compelled. I won't go through it here, but if anybody wants to learn more, there's more on our program in that slide deck. So thank you all very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aaron. And just so everyone knows, we will share out with you all after this meeting. I will follow up with a nice big email, and part of that email will include the chat from our conversation. So all these meaty links that people are throwing in the chat will be preserved, and you will get to see them again. So, because there's some good stuff. I've seen like so many awesome things thrown in the chat already. Okay, next up we have the project shop. Raina, are you here?
Yes, hello everybody. Thank you so much for including me, and I can't tell you what an honor it is to be here among all of these amazing organizations and people. I'm new to this world, so I'm really excited and a little nervous, but I think that I have so much to learn, and I'm excited to learn from you guys. So this all started out with creating a creative space in Carbondale, Colorado, and where I really wanted to share access to equipment and ideas and expertise for people to be able to share their voices. And over the past years found these amazing interactions with young artists, and so empowering them to share their voices in a really high quality way, in a really empowered way, in a very inclusive environment, proved to be really successful. And so it made me start looking at kind of non-classroom based educational opportunities and models that might work moving forward, and ways to reach more people that don't respond to traditional educational systems or are underserved in our communities. And so the service learning model of really looking at printmaking as a medium to really help facilitate that creative expression and get people's voices out there, and then have them have the opportunity to really do an intensive process of developing their ideas and design and voices, and looking at all steps in that process, including responsibly resourcing materials, and then learning how to make things well, to really honor what it is that they're saying, so that people take it seriously and look at it. So I think that was one piece that that really was exciting, and it was clear to me that that takes time and repetition. And I think for artists to feel secure and safe in sharing their voices, that level of intimacy and time and safety around that creative expression became really important. And so I think looking at how to fund this and make it possible was an exciting step. So over the past 6 years, we've been doing it just paying for ourselves and shoestring budget and just figuring it out. And then this grant opportunity is really a revolution for us because it made this whole thing feel valid, and that was really cool. And then I think that the next step in that process was going ahead and founding a nonprofit and really making it a substantial effort that can reach more students. And so that's the goal, is to find more students that are underserved in our community and underrepresented, and help them, you know, empower them to express their voices in substantial ways. And I mean, I don't have much in the slide, but I did, if anyone has the screen, the space that we have is pretty great as far as facilities. And this is just kind of my personal studio, but these are some of the projects that we've already done with young artists expressing their voices. And so I'm thrilled to be able to go to local high schools and reach out to more organizations and find more students that can take advantage of the grant and get their voices out there to really address critical issues in our communities. So yeah, that's it.
Right on. Thank you so much. I have to say, this image right here is really powerful. Just seeing a young person number and sign their additions is just, it's really, really cool. So really excited to see everything unfold. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
All right. We have Prairie Sea Projects next up. Do we have our friends from Joe's in the room?
Sure do. Hi. Hello,
Hi,
everyone.
Maureen.
This is Maureen Hardy coming to you from Joe's, Colorado. And we are we have gotten Arts and Society money in the past. So I am very happy to provide any sort of insights from our experience and share with anyone. So please reach out. And I would like to say too, because of Arts and Society, when I first started, I called myself a rogue community organizer. And since that time, I now am here with my colleague, Lynn Gottman from Stratton, who is recovering from a cold and doesn't have a voice. So she'll be my silent partner here today. But just the idea, we've grown, we've found more leaders, more community engagement over the time. And that's a huge reality when you're in the Northeast Plains of Colorado, where Joe's, Colorado is a population, I think about 82 we're up to right now. So yes, and we come from a land of extreme individualism. And we are working to connect, to collectively have solutions for the climate change that we're facing in our community. We have extreme water shortages in the land of industrial ag. And our water's running out. And so we want to address that as a community through art and creative opportunities. So we're doing 3 projects at our site called the Prairie Future site, which is a regenerative garden in Joe's and a pavilion where we have performances, workshops. We're going to have the Meadowland Market, which will be a micro enterprise opportunity for makers. We also have the Switchgrass Film Lab, which is a ex-rural Eastern Colorado professional filmmaker who comes back to the area now and teaches high school students how to share their stories and experiences through film. And then we have the Alma Creative Residency Program, where we bring in front range artists to come in and be inspired by our community and our landscape and share with our community different opportunities around writing, music, through workshops, presentations. And this year we're working with our local independent weekly newspaper And that will be, the artists and writers will share their work of the week that they spend in Joe's in the paper to share with the larger community. And that's just another way of trying to support local independent journalism. So that's in it in a nutshell. Thanks, everyone. It's great to be a part of a community of change makers.
Right on. Thank you so much, Maureen.
Happy birthday, Maureen.
Thanks.
The cat's out of the bag, Maureen. It's your birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. We're so glad to celebrate you here in this meeting. Thank you for joining us on this joyous day, spending your birthday time on Zoom with us. I am so grateful. And I'm just going to take a minute to also introduce the person who outed Maureen's birthday. Chrissy Deal is on the call. Chrissy is one of our funders from Bonfee Stanton Foundation. Chrissy, can you just say hi real quick? Putting you on the spot.
Hi, real quick. Hello, everybody. Sorry to join late, but it's great to see these images, see your faces, and have these projects come to life a bit more for me. So thanks for making time on a Friday and on your birthday, girl.
Yes. Thank you so much, Chrissy. We're so glad you're here. We often have some of our partners, our funding partners, pop in and out during these meetings so they can soak in all of this goodness. So we're so glad you're here, Chrissy. All right, next up, we have Youth Documentary Academy. We've got folks from YDA in the room.
Hello, yes.
Hey, Tom.
Hi, Laris. Happy birthday, Maureen. Gotta say, really wowed by the brilliancy in this room today, and we feel really lucky to be a part of it. So thank you, Tara, for that reference point that's been echoing in my head all day. So I'm Tom Shepard. I'm the founding director of the Youth Documentary Academy. Our mission is to prepare a new generation of storytellers from underrepresented communities to locate and amplify their voices through the art of documentary film. And through instruction, production, and distribution, YDA trains young people to really transpose their own stories into broadly accessible and impactful media. So that's our kind of mission statement. We started back in 2014, a group of educators and media artists, and really looking at what it would be to create a professional film and storytelling academy in Southern Colorado, ones that we typically see on the East Coast and West Coast. So I think there was this tenet of kind of leveling the playing field geographically, but also this question of who gets to tell their story in America, right? And so our students over the last 9 years, we're going into our 10-year anniversary, are quite diverse. Over half of them are youth of color, 2/3 of them are female identified, 25% of them identify in the LGBTQ+ communities, over 20% from military families. And what we found is that when young people are able to kind of pull stories from their own lived experience, they also internalize all the filmmaking competencies. So in the first few years, we were really focused on that, creating kind of a proof of concept on kind of mentorship-based training academy. And then we had a bunch of films and we needed to figure out how we could keep them from just staying on hard drives. And we had a bunch of folks locally in Colorado Springs where we're based start asking us to do community screenings in partnership with nonprofits. They saw that the films were sort of illuminating the work on the ground. A handful of small schools inviting us in, but we really wanted to amplify the voices of these young people and started working in 2019 with Rocky Mountain PBS. Actually, a person you're gonna meet very soon, Kate Perdoni, extraordinary person, kind of fortuitous that Kate's work in this southern part of the state has also funded this round, but Kate was very catalytic in kind of shepherding our program into the public TV and public media system. So in 2019, we curated our first season statewide of a series called called Our Time. And then just this last year, Our Time was acquired by American Public Television to broadcast nationally. So in 2022, the films of our students broadcast on over 80% of PBS stations nationwide. So we felt like that's a milestone. That was a game changer for us. And it also, interestingly, got us into schools in a very big way. For a decade, we've been trying to figure out how to access kind of peer-to-peer conversations. The films really opened the door to kind of courageous conversations about a number of delicate issues, but particularly around teen mental health and suicide prevention and DEI themes. So this last year, we partnered with one of the bigger school districts in the Springs and created a program called Youth Media Matters. And it's basically a festival, and we worked with 5 of the high schools to bring the programming in with professional moderation, working with the likes of Ashley Cornelius. Tara, I think, mentioned her as well. We work very closely with her. She moderates films about race and colorism, and also a significant partnership with Pikes Peak Suicide Prevention Partnership and their director, Cassandra Walton, who is really helping the young audiences in high schools kind of frame conversations so that they too could bring out their stories. And that is the program that we came to Arts and Society to fund. We did some external evaluation. We surveyed 600 kids of the 2,500 kids that got to attend these first 2 Youth Media Matters. And it turns out it was very impactful for them. It allowed them to stand in the shoes of others and maybe broach conversations about things like suicide and suicide prevention. So our plan this next year, really 16 months, is to expand Youth Media Matters in 5 public school districts in Southern Colorado, including 2 in Pueblo and 3 new ones in Colorado Springs, as well as doing a Youth Media Matters Festival at UCCS, Colorado College, and Pikes Peak State College. And we're working with some academics there to do some external evaluation. So excited to meet all of you more in June, and thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Tom. And you know, everyone has mentioned so many awesome events, festivals, things coming up that are related to the programming that you're doing. And these are things we want to hear about. So we'll talk a little bit more about marketing later, but I just want you to continue to kind of get into a habit of keeping it in your mind to tell us when these things are happening so we can help spread the word, help brag about what you're doing, and attend too. I would love to attend these programs. All right, so next up we have Kate Perdoni. Kate, are you in the room?
Yeah, that was such good timing. That's a great time to say thank you and a nod to Tom Shepard at YDA, who just spoke, without whom I never would have endeavored this project. I served on the YDA Advisory Council for a few years, and just witnessing the impact of that program firsthand in my own community is literally why I'm doing this project. And I tell Tom that every time I see him. So yeah, just a shout out. It's really beautiful to be in this space with mentors. Thank you, Redline. Thank you, Lattice. Thank you, Tom. So my name is Kate Perdoni. I'm representing a media and digital arts program at Centennial High School in San Luis, Colorado. That's my email there. So San Luis is in Costilla County. If you are heading down through Walsenburg, past Sandy in Huerfano County, and over La Vita Pass, down to New Mexico, like to Taos, for example, San Luis is one of the last towns before you get to New Mexico. So it's the homeland of the Jicarilla Apache and Dene and Ute peoples and many others. And that's the Sangre de Cristo Range, what we call today. Cisnejene is to the north of San Luis, is the eastern boundary of Dinétah. So it's very sacred lands, and it has to be treated that way. The Pueblos are just to the south. San Luis is one of the early land grant settlements of the Sangre de Cristo land grant, and so was founded under Mexico on the Culebra watershed. And so all the neighboring land grant communities, Costilla, New Mexico, and San Pedro, San Pablo, Los Fuertes, El Rito, all the communities in that area were founded as Genízaro settlements from Abiquiu and Taos County. And Genízaro is a descendant of Spanish and Mexican and other indigenous North Americans, indigenous Mexicans, including as a result of a long history of indigenous and native Mexican enslavement in the area, which is still the primary descendants today. And the breaks in the ecology and human stewardship. So the land and water stewardship and ecologic systems that were in place changed dramatically after the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. And those changes still impact people today who are living in this other way. Those discrepancies are still in court, still affect communities very tangibly. And that's a lot of the work I do as a filmmaker, is exploring and kind of documenting uninterrupted lineages of natural resource stewardship, and just kind of how those things are brought up from point A to point B to today. And in doing that, it became very obvious that I wanted to, because of the generational gaps that exist in knowledge in the community and my own reciprocity for just being there, wanted to incorporate the youth into oral history traditions, and along with my interviews and the film practices. So began bringing youth along in my documentary and media work. Last summer, I reached out to Centennial High School and to Kim Burrell, the principal there in San Luis, and Helen C., who is the English teacher who is also co-teaching a media lab in San Luis. They had together received a RISE grant, it turned out, to bring equipment into the facility. So when I showed up, it was just that they needed an instructor. So it was great timing. So I've been volunteering in the school since last summer, working with the youth, getting to know them, doing all these cool media projects. And this grant opportunity came up, was just such a beautiful way to continue that work. So now we make all kinds of media projects together. We create multimedia tutorials, curriculum, projects, public events, and public facing things to integrate the school and community. We talk about K through 12 school issues and community issues and create media around those things, really just trying to integrate media practices into any curriculum or to support any teacher or whatever endeavor they might have going on. We're putting together a couple internships for the summertime when school's not in session. And yeah, we really work with each student to see where they're at and what they want to explore. And because of the RISE grant, we're really able to look at that full smattering of media. So we work with drones and photography, digital photography, video, gaming, 3D printing, really the gamut of whatever the students are interested in. Yeah, and so we'll continue that work for as long as we can. I want to do it forever. And just thank you again to Redline and Lattice for the opportunities.
Thank you so much, Kate. I'm so excited for this project, and I love the connection with Tom and the work happening at Youth Documentary Academy. I'm also just going to ask you, Kate, to please plug in some links to the incredible journalism that you are doing right now, about all of the things that you've just said, about the land grants and everything, because it's amazing work and we want to see it. So link it in the chat. All right, next up, we have Healing Words. Ada, are you in the room?
Yes, I'm here.
Hello, welcome.
Hello, hello. It's a good segue. I just messaged Kate. My family's originally from San Luis, and so it's kind of a cool little connection there. So yeah, my name is Ada Cruz. I'm with Words to Power. So, and our project is called Healing Words. So it's a collaborative project. We're working with GRASP, Gang Rescue and Support Project here in Denver, as well as the Denver Public Safety Youth Programs, AKA Safe City, really to focus in on giving youth who are experiencing, challenges in their life, to reflect on their struggles, to figure out like, okay, where's the power that I have within myself? And it really is from within themselves and from their words. To connect with community resources and to see themselves as leaders in collective healing. And that happens in a couple of different ways. So we're doing spoken word workshops, poetry workshops with GRASP and Safe City groups. A lot of these kids are, whether it's gang involved or are in that process of trying to, in terms of diversion programs, to be able to give them an alternative path to their future, right? And so we have quarterly youth-focused open mic events. You'll see the middle photo is from one of our events. The top photo is from one of our workshops with GRASP. And so our next one is actually coming up March 24th. And just trying to get a lot of kids to show up. We're paying kids $25 Visa gift cards to read their poetry. We usually feature youth and pay them. We have other community groups that come through and table and vend, providing some resources for the kids. Just local vendors in general selling their crafts. We usually have a visual artist we feature. And and then we publish a book of youth written poetry. The last one we published, the theme was "We Are Here for a Reason," and you'll notice the flyer on the bottom is a flyer for this next one. The theme is "Our Ancestors Speak Through Us." So with our workshops, we distribute the book from the previous year to all the kids. We have a bunch of swag that we give out to kids, just kind of with messages around, your words are powerful, that kind of thing. And then encourage the kids to then submit their poetry to the book that we're publishing, currently. So we're going to have a book release event this summer. Plan is at La Raza Park. We had it there the last couple of times. And we usually invite the kids who submitted their poetry to come perform it. We pay them to perform, give them t-shirts, copies of the book. All these are all free events for kids and their families. Usually a pretty good event. Last year we had 40 youth contributors, and so we're looking to have more this year, ages 10 to 21. But with this project, we're really focusing on kind of those teens that a lot of times are slipping through the cracks and getting involved with some stuff that isn't beneficial for themselves. So that's really our focus, and we're really honored to be here with every one of you, and to be able to use these funds to support kids in our community. So thank you.
Right on. Thank you so much. So glad you're here. All right, next up we have Rad. Yuzo, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you so much. Great to see everybody here. Radical Arts Academy of Denver, or RAD, our mission is to facilitate high-quality arts-based learning in support of whole child development from a community-responsive, culturally sustainable lens that promotes concrete pathways for students to learn through the arts. RAD students grow towards self-actualization to develop kind of a lifelong love of learning and creativity. Our project title for this Arts and Society opportunity is the Initiative for Arts Activation in Far Northeast Denver. This is an area that both myself and our co-founder, Kelly Okoye, who's also on this call, have spent pretty much our entire careers as teachers and educational leaders, and have seen just like a really severe gap for opportunities, both for youth and adults, as far as either learning the arts or even spaces to perform or display artwork. So this is really like an area that we really wanted to centralize as far as this initiative. So really the purpose for this is to activate our community responsive, culturally sustainable arts-based learning model, here to sort of address also the post-COVID mental health crisis, and to address that historical exclusion and lack of access that I just mentioned. I think a big thing that separates us from a lot of organizations that we've worked for is this community responsive lens means we design all of our programming for the community of learners that we're serving, and centralizing the art and styles and interests that they already come with. So we've been working with a number of organizations, both on the youth programming element as well as the adult professional learning development and arts programming as well. This past year we've completed, so we started a new after school club with a community partner, Academy 360, who is a ECE 3.8 charter school in Montbello area. And we've been programming a visual arts after school enrichment program in partnership with Metro State University, and specifically the visual art department, working with pre-service teachers to get their field hours by helping to lead and design our programs with us. We had an art showcase at the end of last semester, and then we've continued this work again with this the same or similar set of students from Academy 360, but different MSU pre-service teachers. We also with Academy 360 this spring, we partnered with a community artist, Sende La Morte, to do the 5th grade legacy mural piece. So basically we've been teaching the 5th graders about muralism, about kind of identity and sort of the culture of muralism in public art, and are right now in the phase where they are generating their concepts for the mural that they want to leave as their legacy. We're also working with the same artist to sort of take some of the ideas from the ECE, from the littles, right, the 3 to 4 year olds, and pretty much implement their ideas. They just did a new construction project around their their cafeteria, and that's right where the ECE wing is. So we want to put kind of like all their ideas artistically up there. We've also been working with an organization called B Piece Productions. It's a newer organization out in Montbello, in the Montbello community as well. And they were a Moonshot Fellowship, pretty much centralizing mindfulness, martial arts, and music. So we've been working with them as well, doing a lot of professional learning, specifically around, I have a background in Guinea, Mali style, West African percussion and dance, which I actually studied in Guinea with my teacher, Farah Tono. And so he gave me the blessing to teach this deeply cultural and religious music as much as I can. So we've been working on developing B Piece Productions around that West African pedagogical musical approach, as well as doing executive coaching and business leadership for the musicians that they work with and organizational leaders. Additionally, around the professional learning, professional development side, we've worked with the Education Through Music program, who works with 8 different partner schools, mostly in Denver public schools. About half of their schools are in far northeast Denver, but then they work with a few schools in Southwest Denver, in West Denver, and in Aurora. A lot of what the training that we've been doing, because most of these are their teachers are kind of teaching artists. And so the main focus has been kind of around creating a responsive classroom culture, as well as implementing community and culture sustainable approaches to music education, specifically around like facilitating songwriting with students. I think all the schools they work with are elementary schools. And then additionally, too, we've been working with the Alliance for Music Education Equity, which has 19 member organizations, different music organizations across Colorado. Again, centralizing the community responsive, culturally sustainable approaches to music education, which if, for the music educators out there, music education tends to be very Eurocentric and really maintain that paradigm. And so we've really done a lot of work to kind of shift that paradigm and centralize the art and music of the students that they're working with. Kind of coming up next is we are continuing a partnership with Prospect Academy, which is a new charter school in Jefferson County. That's all about students with diverse learning differences. And we're developing their visual art program with them, and we're very close with their leader as well. And then this summer, we just started a partnership with Highline Academy. Actually, we're continuing this partnership, so we've done this in the past with them. But the Northeast campus of Highline Academy doing a summer arts and arts-based learning camp, really trying to infuse actually a lot of our arts areas, so visual art, music, dance, theater, and creative writing. the last thing that I just wanted to share with you all is, so this is Radical Arts Academy. We have our programmatic side, right, which I kind of just talked about, but we also have a school side. And so it's just something that I wanted to celebrate with everybody here, is we've been working really hard on getting approved to open a full ECE through 8th grade school. Our charter ended up being denied last spring. However, we did get a partnership. It was sort of actually a blessing in disguise. DPS approached us to launch a brand new district-run school in far northeast Denver, in an area where there's a lot of growth with community. And so we're extremely excited. We break ground on our campus this Tuesday. And so just wanted to share with everybody, the update. Thanks.
That's incredible. Really, really exciting news. Congratulations. Yay, we're so glad. So glad you're here. Okay, we're going to keep on moving. We are going to go over our agenda time a little bit, but we will still have a full break and we'll have plenty of time and be out of here by 1:30 still. All right, next up, we have Poetry Heals, Write It Out After School. Molly, are you in the room?
I'm busy taking notes. Poetry Heals has been around for about 7 years. We bring therapeutic poetry writing to people living difficult lives. We focus on at-risk youth, unhoused residents, and military veterans and their families in the Pikes Peak region. We have a part-time director, that would be me, and 7 writing mentors who are all independent contractors. In 2022, we worked with over 1,500 people, and we ran 165, I think, workshops. We're still counting. Our mentors do specialized training and for our workshops in our particular methods, and are using our materials in intersectional social justice and trauma-informed work, as well as mental health first aid training. We have a dispersed model of operation. We create and offer workshops in a dozen or so locations where at-risk folks are already being served. We connect with our hosts to align our workshops with their goals and mission. And we strive to be the easiest collaborating partners they have ever had in their lives. We follow their rules, we abide by their schedules, whatever. And we keep up a lively and ongoing conversation with people to make sure that we're getting feedback back and forth, and we're working well. Like, we work in the homeless shelter for youth, so it's really important to stay connected. We work in mental health hospitals, homeless shelters, all kinds of places that are pretty touchy. For this particular grant project, which, by the way, is a whole lot easier to work on when you walk in and say, hello, I already have funding for this, so thank you, Arts and Society. It's pretty awesome. Anyway, so for this project, we're setting up creative expression workshops in Voces Unidas for Justice, which is in Southwest Colorado Springs, and the Hillside Community Center, which is sort of southeastern downtown. Voces is primarily an advocacy organization celebrating Latinas identities spanning the Americas. Voces supports victims of violence and injustice, such as domestic violence and sexual assault, with confidential victim advocacy and cultural practices for healing and justice. Among their many, many programs, they do a 16-week class for middle school young men and young women about ethical behavior, moral behavior, sexuality, sexual violence, justice, and things like that. Poetry Heals mentors are part of each class, so we're embedded in this class to encourage youth to express themselves, to explore creative expression and their own experiences, and to kind of concretize and take in their learning. Right now, Voces is problem solving around trying to get kids to register for the classes. There was something happened. Anyway, we're ready to go when they are. at Hillside Community Center, which is, there's a picture there of some dancers. That isn't a Poetry Heals event, but it's the front of that building. And we are connecting with the program managers in a lot of different ways to augment their after-school programs. Hillside Community is one of the lowest income neighborhoods in Colorado Springs, and this community center is a real hub for activities. So they completely and quickly understood the connection between creative expression, art, and healing. So we are hoping to organize standalone workshops, but it's more likely that we're going to become part of their ongoing after-school programming, their spring break and summer vacation programming. The community and other opportunities beyond this grant are opening up there as well. They work with people of all disabilities and all ages, and we do too. So we may have some opportunities to work with seniors as well as developmentally different youth. So that's pretty exciting to be able to bring more healing to more people, to give more people tools for processing their trauma in a good and safe environment. And like I said, walking in with the money is like, hi, I have money to do this. Would you like to? Really, greasing the wheels doesn't describe it. Poetry Heals has been around for a while. It's a passion project of mine. And I didn't really have the nerve, frankly, initially to go after an Arts and Society grant, because I was like, I'm not sure that this is really, society. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, I'll give it a shot. And I'm grateful that you took a flyer on us. We're looking forward to keeping this up. Thanks.
Thank you, Molly. We're so glad you gave it a shot and so glad you're here.
Thanks.
All right, next up, we have Christy with Fashioning Environmental Justice STEAM Fashion Show. Christy, are you in the room?
Hi, yes.
Hello, Christy, welcome.
I just have to say before I say anything about myself is that being in this company is pretty astonishing. I've been taking wild notes, just so many ideas and so many vehicles for change. It's so exciting. I'm a teacher at Peak to Peak High School in Lafayette, Colorado, and I teach innovation and design thinking. It's a new program. It started during the pandemic. So it's been a crazy ride, and I take ninth graders through the steps of design thinking so that they can really learn how to solve problems, not memorize information, but use arts, use science, use their own sense of self and society to be those change makers. So we've been working on that process, and this grant made it possible to have a partnership with artist Ruthie Meir, who you can see here. She came in for just one period last year to talk about slow fashion and her design process, where she uses all kinds of local materials and local artists to create innovative things for people to wear. So what we're going to do is Ruthie, now we can pay her to do this, it's so exciting, is going to come in for 2 weeks and work with our students so that they can create, they've already started, they're over the moon excited. They can work on creating upcycled fashion. So the very, very opposite of fast fashion, which is hurting the environment. They're going to be taking that which would otherwise be thrown away and turning it into something that helps achieve environmental justice in the world. So what's exciting about this is they're going to be learning the design process. We've already brought in members of our community to inspire them on the environmental justice side. We had Josh Kuhn from Colorado Water come in and present to them about all of the problems with water, especially post-fire. Our school district was heavily affected by the Marshall Fire. A lot of our students lost homes. I would say fully 50% of them had to leave their homes for some period of time. So this idea of how do we protect the environment? How do we help heal the environment, which is a big issue where we are right now? And how can they not be passive, but be those change makers and do that through designing something really exciting. And then the display, what we're working towards is 2 fashion shows, one in school.
I am so sorry, Christy. Somehow you got muted, so I'm trying to unmute you here.
Oh,
there
sorry,
you go.
I'm just talking to myself here.
No, you were just spitting brilliance. And then I think I just clicked something that I didn't mean to click. So it's my fault, but please continue.
Okay.
Apology.
I was just going to say the end result, what we're working towards, we're having 2 fashion shows, one for K-12 students to really inspire younger students in our K-12 school, but also one for the whole community. And the end of this is not just a display of the items that students created and designed with local artist Ruthie Meir and her influence, and then the understanding from, we had our sustainability coordinator for the city of Lafayette come in and understanding all of this, but we're working through a whole presentation for each eco outfit that they create and what it can do and what its possibilities are. And the students are going to be presenting those. So the hope is that it's not just the arts and the design process, which is wildly exciting on its own, but that they'll really have a chance to educate the community and share these steps that they are taking. So the fact that we can put all of these things together, that we're so separate, different types of learning and different types of arts and different type of community engagement and bringing people in, which of course we've tried to do, but it's been so limited what we could bring them in for and for how long. And this is such a game changer. So we're incredibly excited and really, really grateful. Thank you so much.
Yay, Christy. We're so excited. And apologies again for my technological flub. All right, we're getting there, y'all. These projects are so amazing. Next up, we have the folks from Uray. Uray, are you in the house?
Yes, thank you so much.
Hey, Jake.
Hey, like everyone else, my heart is bursting with joy at getting to learn about all this incredible work. My name is Jake Abel. I am one of the 2 executive directors of the Uray International Film Festival. As our title suggests, we are located in the San Juan Mountains, and I am here representing as well Jared LaCroix, who is my brother in every way but by blood, and he and I run this organization together. We founded it several years ago in Uray, which is a community I grew up in and from which I graduated in high school. And our project is sort of coming out of our life, Jared and I, both as educators and as filmmakers. We're partnering with the local school from which I graduated and bringing sort of the fruits of our film festival programming to bear on student enrichment in a couple of targeted ways that this grant in very exciting ways makes possible. So we have a robust history of designing large components of our summer film festival program around social justice thematics, and that's taken on different kinds of approaches in different years. We had a couple of years ago a focus on American Black cinema, and we brought in Zaire Love, who's a filmmaker from Memphis, who came in with a documentary series that she did. We brought in Skinner Myers, who's a professor at CU Boulder, who works on Black cinema in the United States and around the world, and had some incredible long form conversations with these filmmakers, talking to each other and to the community. And as we pivoted towards this year, we had a real consensus. We wanted to focus on Native and Indigenous cinema, both in Colorado and beyond. And so that's what we're doing. And this grant is helping us to do 2 things. The first is it's helping us throughout this spring to partner with the school in some ways that are focused around curriculum intervention. So I've worked carefully with a couple of faculty in the middle school and the high school at Uray who are already doing great work, emphasizing the sort of past and present of different Native communities in Colorado and in the United States more broadly. and are working with them to bring in different Native filmmakers and activists and educators at a couple of key points in the spring in ways that are integrated with their curricula in social studies and history in particular. Some of these folks are no stranger to arts and society. We have folks like Danielle Seawalker, who's an incredible muralist, right, based out of the Front Range here in Denver. Remarkable artist, and we're actually working with her right now to try and iron out the details of bringing her in to work on a mural as well in Ouray with some student involvement as well. So there's that classroom component. We also kicked off this kind of 7-month project by bringing in CJ Bradford, who is the head of the Ute Indian Museum in Montrose. She herself is Lakota, but is a remarkable educator and came in, and you actually see in this image on the left here, this is our primary film festival event, the Wright Opera House in Ouray, Colorado. And that's CJ performing in a combination of dance and native sign language accompanied to music to sort of kick off this collaboration with the school, the community in Southwest Colorado, and the global artist community that we bring together. She actually recapitulated that performance the next day at a school-wide assembly in Ouray. And we'll be bringing her back as well this spring and in the summer. The second component of this is really pivoting toward our film festival itself this June 22nd through 25th. And so we're able with this grant support to bring in a range of Native artists who will be on site, having conversations, doing live performance, reading, sharing films as part of that event. So just a couple of those other folks. We have Jeffrey Palmer, who's going to receive our annual Film and Action Award. He is on faculty at Cornell University and is a Kiowa filmmaker. He has roots in Oklahoma and broadly throughout the Plains and Southwest, and he'll be there screening a new short film of his that he's turning into a feature. We have folks like Greg Deal, who's going to be our artist in resident as well. Again, many of you may know Greg's work from the Front Range of Colorado. He'll be doing a combination of showing short films and live performance as well. And we'll be staging, again, a lot of long form conversations between these artists, our film festival public, and the school around the kinds of questions about past and present Native communities that these films raise. So we're really thrilled in the way that the support enables us to double down with a good partnership we already have with the local school, in the way that it brings even more Native and Indigenous artists on site to enrich our 4-day festival this summer. Yeah, we couldn't be more thrilled and would love to see any of you in the mountains this summer who can make it our way.
Thank you so much, Jake. I am definitely making notes here and seeing like, oh, work trip to Ouray. I do not mind gladly. This sounds lovely. And I just love the graphic of this poster too. It's just really, really beautiful work.
I should just very quickly say that graphic is from Greg Deal. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that. So Greg, as our artist in residence, designed our poster this year, and forgive me for not mentioning that. Thank you.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, the poster is beautiful. Should have known it was Greg. And both Greg and Danielle are past AIS grantees. So this is all real exciting. I just love all the connections. All right, next up we have the Tabor Opera House.
Awesome, thank you. And I apologize for our slide being a little jangled, and thanks for everyone sharing. Oh my gosh, I'm just thrilled. Colorado native that grew up in Paonia and love performing with the Blue Sage Center for the Arts, and just some different components. It's really inspiring. I'm Sarah Day. I'm the executive director for the Tabor Opera House and have been here since May of this last year. We are bringing back our Tabor Youth Collective, and I think T is on the call with me. She's really kind of quintessential to this work, but basically we are a opera house historic building, 144 years, and we are trying to revitalize this building and create a community hub for arts and culture. But beyond that, we're really trying to create pathways and ways to engage our community that maybe doesn't have the ability to usually experience arts and culture in an interesting way. And so specifically in this grant, we were awarded to be able to put together a series of workshops for 2 weeks in June, and we will deep dive with our students using a Reader's Theater approach theater. And we'll be really working in an effort to create deep awareness of the ripple effects from COVID-19 within our community, specifically those impacts to our youth and their families. And the workshop, they're going to work with professional artists and artisans that come to us, as well as locals. And there's going to be, a vast different approach of the workshops with poetry reading, charrettes, different prompts, so that the students build upon their work in workshop week 1, sorry, and then perform it after the 2 weeks on our historic stage. And T, I think if you would like to pump up what we're really talking about here, I'd like to pass it over to you.
I would love to. So it's been really joyful to listen to all of this, and I was taking a note, but I truly believe we are all healing. And I feel like when this meeting is over, this beautiful vibration is just going across our state, and I might actually be levitating when I walk out the door today. So for me, I relocated to Leadville. I fell in love with the community. I was reintroduced about 6 years ago. My background's alternative ed and then documentary theater at the small alternative high school of which I graduated. So retiring in 2019, that was a loss. And it's such a beautiful opportunity. I'm connected with youth in various ways in the community. So when we had this opportunity for the grant, we started talking about doing something different because it's been a struggle to get something going. We have a robust program at the high school, but it's musicals, requires a huge commitment, a lot of memorization. So the goal is to help youth find their voice for meaningful purpose. And that voice may be through movement or writing or self-expression or combinations. And so we're just really excited. We've been talking with youth, talking with local folks, and our goal is to develop a core group at the end of this 2-week workshop so that our collective will grow and we'll have that foundation as we move forward. So we're targeting youth entering 8th grade through graduating seniors, hoping to latch onto that younger crew so that they can give us that foundation as we move forward and we use their ideas to grow. So I'm really excited and grateful to be a part of this beautiful collection of people and ideas working for the common good of just our lives, our earth, our communities. So thank you so much.
Thank you, T. That's so sweet. I really, really appreciate it. If we're gonna be on Zoom, I hope it is as joyful as possible. And this stuff, hearing what everyone is doing is just, this is the best. This is the meat. So more meat coming up. We have Coming Home, Dragon, Phoenix, and the Space Between.
Hi, everyone. My name is Abby Averid, and I'm here on the call with Terry Cohen and Damian Teague, representing the Coming Home program. I may be the only one to speak, but I just want to name the other players that are present on this call. Coming Home is a program that is organized to support veterans on a project that's been going on in rural Boulder County since 2012. And it's a collaboration between 2 Front Range nonprofits. That's Kindred Way and Warrior Storyfield. And Kindred Way is a nonprofit that builds connections between like-minded nonprofit organizations and lineage groups, artists, individuals, in order to create and design collaborative programs to offer to the community and to individuals. In this case, we will be bringing in veterans from different partner organizations to experience Warrior Storyfield, which is a veteran artistic project that is the birthplace of the Dragon, Phoenix, and the Space in Between. And when it began in 2012, veterans and Robert Bellows, who is the master artist, who is really at the heart of Warrior Storyfield's life force, began to want to explore how they might make sculptures to address the journey of our veterans. And so the dragon was chosen to represent the warrior's experience in service and at war and training. And the phoenix was chosen to represent all the changes that warriors face in returning to civilian life and the possible rebirth and transformation that happens in that process. Ultimately, these sculptures are going to be placed in a sanctuarial space where they'll face each other, and in between will give rise to the space in between, which is part of the sculptural installation and intention to create an open space where people can gather, where it can be a place for personal expression, for listening, for art, a place to share our stories and to speak the unspeakable. So that's the larger sort of view about what Warrior Story Field is all about, representing these transformations in the veterans' journey. Coming home, we will be inviting veterans from different organizations that are in along the Front Range, in Boulder County in particular, that work with veterans. So our intention is to have 10 different half-day programs where veterans will be invited onto the pad, and they'll learn about the history of the project. They'll meet the artists, veterans and civilians both, that are taking part in this collaboration, and we'll have an opportunity to craft their own like work with the archetype of dragon phoenix and work a piece of metal. I don't know if I mentioned the dragon is let's see, 16 feet tall, and the phoenix is 18 feet tall. These are massive, massive sculptures. And let's see what else. I think that, you know, the intention is to provide a space for veterans to be able to explore what it is for them, how their experience as being a veteran lives in them, to have the opportunity to express something about their experience and experience the camaraderie of being with other people. We will also be offering, in conjunction with these working days at Warrior Story Field, we'll be offering opportunities to gather and counsel and introduce mindfulness practices and have a opportunity to further our sense of community and listening and sharing. So it's a real honor to be serving this kind of vision and such. Yeah, we're very excited about the potential here and grateful to Redline for choosing our project. And it's amazing how many versions of this is already living and alive in what other people are doing. And so it's really wonderful to share in that. I don't know if Terry or Damien, if you're on and want to add anything, but we will have a gathering at the end. We'll have a where the larger community will come, and we will have just another opportunity to hear about how this has impacted people's experience and see their art and listen to stories. And I think there's a lot that will still unfold about how just what some of the pieces will be that will serve this greater project. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Abby. It's wonderful. Really appreciate it. All right, last but certainly not least, we have the City of Westminster with Heartifacts.
Hey there, I'm Kate Cook with the City of Westminster. I'm the Cultural Affairs Coordinator. Whoops, it just went away. Sorry about that. Our project is titled Heartifacts, and it's a pop-up community museum using the display of family artifacts, treasures as a way to tell the story of both underrepresented and under-resourced members of our community. Our history tends to, right now, our formalized history tends to be much more documentation of people who look like me or men, sort of that style. So we know that there are other people in our community and we want to reach them. So a big piece, over half of our grant, is to hire community ambassadors to help us make those connections in the community. And then making those connections will also help us longer term establish those ties in our community for culture and arts. So it's sort of a double win-win for us. We'll get to do this fun project, which is this pop-up community museum that will run for the month of October, but we will also create these lasting connections in our community. And I've started the outreach to identify community ambassadors, and it's tough work. It's hard work to get folks to step forward and participate in that process. So a lot of my like first generation immigrants are sort of like, no, I don't really do that. I do see more excitement from my second and third generation immigrants in our community. So I have been taking massive notes too. So I'll be reaching out to other folks in this grant award just to brainstorm ideas on how to reach people. So that's where I am right now. I'm looking to have my community ambassadors on the ground, identifying, meeting with potential museum participants from now through August. September will be our museum staging. And then, like I said, the opening of the museum will be open through the month of October. We're looking at some possible utilization of current vacant spaces, activation of some vacant spaces in our historic Westminster Arts District. So that's where we are with Artifacts.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Kate. I can't wait to come and see it. Wonderful. Well, I don't know if anyone else is just like massively impressed by everything they just absorbed. But we just heard 23 amazing projects from across the state, lots to absorb. I'm sure everyone has all the ants in their pants. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust our break. We are going to take a break now, and we will reconvene at 12:25. And at 12:25, we will jump into a whole bunch of information, more than you can possibly absorb on a Friday. So please be kind to yourself and know that the presentation, myself, etc., will all be available after this. So absorb what you can, no pressure. Go stretch, pet your cats, the dog, etc., and we'll see you at 12:25. So ignore this. Ignore what this says.
Thank you, Lattice.
And I said all of that before I resumed recording. So if you're watching this recording, you just missed me saying some lovely things. All right, so I am going to go ahead and share my screen back to our presentation that we were looking at before. And let's see, I'm going to go down to marketing. And Patty, you are welcome to use these slides as a guide, but feel free to talk about anything that isn't on here that you want to mention as well.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm going to pop in the chat right now for everyone. These are all the blogs as examples of what we write for our Arts and Society grantees. So this is a link to a specific blog category on our website that contains all of those blogs. And with the caveat of that, we do have some blogs, many blogs, probably about, 30 or so, 30 to 40 that were created before I came in and enlisted this very specific process. And I'm still in the process of transferring those over to this new blog category. So there is a larger, deeper history than what you'll see here. So just that caveat. But so you can check some of these out. You'll see that they all kind of follow like a similar template. I provide those questions to your team and give you, tons of time to work on those. I'll be reaching out and we'll create a blog calendar where you can decide what month from now through the end of the year you want to write a blog. This is not a requirement. This is not an Arts and Society requirement. Just to be very, very clear, this is for you to promote your organization and your project. So again, not a requirement, just something nice we like to do because we love sharing these projects and your organizations with our audience here at Redline. So again, I'll be reaching out to coordinate that blog editorial calendar. And, when it's about a month ahead of your time to write that blog, I'll send you over the questions and you will work on those at your leisure. And I will also say, like, if you want me to ask you other questions, you can add those. Like, you have creative freedom. So if you're like, yeah, these 5 questions are nice, but I also, I think it would be really cool to add this or that, like, it can be collaborative. So these are really a jumping off point. So go ahead and check out that blog category and you can kind of see what those look like. The Arts and Society newsletter, maybe, do you want to talk about that part, Lattice?
Sorry, it took me a second to find my little unmute.
It's one
oops,
slide.
and then I just jumped ahead. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, y'all.
There you go.
Here we go. It has a mind of its own. Yes, so the Arts and Society newsletter, this is our newsletter that we send out to I'm sorry, I'm looking at you're talking about the blend and the newsletter. So the newsletter is something that we're still working on and kind of putting together. And as Patty mentioned earlier, we do also share our specific, as Patty reaches out to you all for information about the programs and things you have going on. Those details will also be shared with our funding partners. And so our funding partners will share things with their communities as well. And then our newsletter right now, we have all of Redline's programming kind of packaged into one newsletter. So as we're sending our newsletter out, we will include information about things that are happening in the community surrounding Redline, and that community includes Arts and Society. It includes you. And so things that you have going on will be included in there as well. Is that accurate, Patty, or did I miss any details about that process?
No, yeah. So, I mean, Redline, it sounds like my understanding is Redline has its regular monthly newsletter. And so these blogs that y'all write, I do include those, and that's our general master list. So that is absolutely everyone who is signed up for our newsletter, everyone from board members to artists to community members, on and on and on to you, if you're signed up. So I do share those in that regard. It sounds like I think that Lattice and Luis have been also talking about a newsletter that is just specific to Arts and Society content only. And then that's, has a more segmented audience. So a couple of different things going on there. And also, yeah, just to circle back. So we've got the blogs, and then we've also got what I mentioned earlier in this call, if you were there. Another thing that I do is I reach out with a Google form every month. And anytime you have something interesting that's going on with your organization, or specific to your arts and society project, you will add that information into the Google form. And then before the upcoming month, I send that to our grantors to share with their network. So really the main pieces to look out for is, yeah, that kind of like event roundup communication, and then the blog if you want to write one this year. And then finally, we also have a arts and society specific social Instagram account. And so we have the general Redline Instagram account, and I will share the arts and society blogs that I publish on the Redline website. I will share those to the general Redline Instagram account. We also have a contractor who manages the arts and society specific Instagram account. And obviously all the content there is just related to arts and society organizations and events, etc. So be sure to follow that on Instagram. And be sure to tag that arts and society Instagram, and I'll find that link and throw it into the chat. Follow them and be sure to tag them and mention them in like your post copy on Instagram. Like really make sure that Ava is the contractor's name. Make sure that you are basically alerting her, hey, I'm posting something about my organization that's involved in arts and society, or about my arts and society project. Like tag the arts and society account, mention it in the post copy, and she will reshare those things. And she also kind of has her own content strategy. So she doesn't only rely on you folks to make things and to tag her. She is also, actively putting together her own content throughout the year. So again, we're leveraging the Redline account and audience and the arts and society account audience on Instagram. So if anyone has any questions about that, feel free to reach out. I'll post my email again in the chat. But those are really kind of the main marketing pieces to look out for.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Patty. Yes, and just a note on communications, definitely just if you're not sure who to email Patty, CC me. It can never hurt. I'm always happy to see what's happening as well with all of your work. And at the end of the meeting, I will be sharing with you all a link for a form that will be used to gather all of your contact information. And part of that will be getting Instagram tags or handles, and then any other social media, website, any other details that we can kind of aggregate and share. So one other marketing piece, and here, here's the contact again for Patty, and then that Arts and Society email. Again, go ahead and include me and Patty. The Arts and Society email is still active, but definitely not checked nearly as much as Patty and mine's personal accounts, which you have. So the last thing that I wanted to tell you all about regarding marketing is mini docs. And this is a really awesome part of the program where we have worked with a wonderful filmmaker here in Denver named Kim Shively, and she will put together little mini documentaries about each of your projects. Now, I will say we're kind of a little bit behind right now just because we had double the amount of grantees in 2020 as a response to COVID. And so we're catching up on all of our grantee mini docs, but they are in motion. And so there is a link here. And again, you will also have, you do already have a link to this PowerPoint in your agenda, but I will also make sure that you have all of the links to these things so you can see them and look yourself. One thing is that during our next learning community meeting, since we will be meeting in person, we will opportunity to these interviews or the mini reasons that can be so all over the state and see everyone in person. When we have our in-person gatherings, we'll use that time to interview each of you. So be ready. We'll give you a heads up. You'll know so you can think about what you want to wear, whatever. All right. Before I jump into evaluation and reporting, which is pretty heavy stuff, hardy. I mean, it's like a hardy topic. Any questions about marketing, communications, anything that folks want to ask? You can just unmute yourself.
I have a question. If we have additional funding to have our full program happen, is it okay to include those grantees as well in any of our like posters, or do you want specifically to just have Arts and Society being highlighted as a partner?
We fully anticipate that we hope that you have a handful of funders. So please put us in the mix. And I shared that file with all of you with the Arts and Society logos, and I will reshare it. Thank you for bringing that up. We love when you can mention Arts and Society, as Patty mentioned, tagging us on Instagram, but then using those logos in your promotional materials. And yes, we're happy to be in the good company of other folks who have chosen to fund you. All right, any other marketing questions before we move on? All right, and remember, this is not the only time to ask questions. We anticipate questions from here until the end of time, so don't be shy when things come up. Okay, so this next round of content is about evaluation and reporting. And they're two separate things that kind of work together, okay? And so reporting is when you are done with your project, you will report on your project. This is letting us know, letting Arts and Society and our collaborative of funders know what happened, what you did, how you spent the money, and just letting us know how it went. Evaluation is part of your reporting. Part of your reporting is evaluating the folks who are engaging with your work. Now, I'll go into more detail about all of these things, but I think it's important to distinguish that and to also just kind of help map these things out in your brain. Give me just a second. Okay. All right, so I'm like getting ahead of myself in my brain. I'm like wanting to say things that I know we'll get to in a few slides. So I'm just gonna slow down with myself here. Okay, so first things first, so you know how reporting works. And for our returning grantees, some of this is gonna be new. Yay, new things. We have moved all of Arts and Society reporting to submittable. So this, all of the reporting that you do for your project, you will do through a submittable link, and I have the links here. They will also be on the website, and I'll include them in emails as well. But this way, you're able to kind of work on your report in your submittable account, the same account you use to apply for the grant. And then it kind of aggregates all of that information into, a standardized format that makes it a little bit easier for us to manage. So hopefully this is a helpful new process. We're really, really excited. And I think it's going to be good. So these are the two links. And again, we'll share these in multiple ways. So you don't have to worry about saving the links right now. So first is interim reporting. I think there's only about 6 of you that are in this realm. The interim reports are only required for grantees who are doing 2-year grants and who have split their payments in half. And so you have to submit your interim report before we disperse that second half of your funding. And the interim report is like a final report light. We really just want to know how's it going? What's happened so far? Any changes? Any shifts in, goals and or any big changes in how the money is being spent, just giving us an update of what's going on. And if you're not sure where you land in this, let me know, but I'll also be reaching out to interim report folks directly. So that is kind of on your list. And the interim report, you decide when that is. So you decide for me to when you want to reach out to me and say, hey, we're at this point, we're ready for the second half. We're ready to submit an interim report. So most people, it's at that half, it's at that year mark, right? 2-year grant, 1 year, then you submit an interim and get the second year. But things change, things might shift. And so keep me posted. Okay, so final reports. Everyone will do a final report. Your final report is due within 60 days of the completion of your project and no later than February 20th, 2025, which sounds so far from now, but as we know, time is elusive. And so what this means, due within 60 days of the completion of your project, this is again, yours to decide. You know when you've completed your project. When have you met the goals that you set for yourself, or when have you met the goals that you have shifted to because things change? And when do you feel ready to report on your project? So just an example, if someone's project is focused around a theater performance, and that theater performance happens on July 1st, and it runs until July 15th, and then there's a little bit of debrief with the cast and crew, and everything is said and done by July 20th. Well, then you say, all right, our project ended on July 20th, and our report is due 60 days from now. So again, there's a little bit of flexibility in here, and this is an opportunity for you to really reflect on the process and where you are at, and to connect with me about, when do you feel ready to be done, to say that you're done. Because things change and things shift. If again, it says here, if you need to adjust or extend the length of your project, just let me know, we'll figure it out. I started this position in 2020, like fall 2020. And so I have yet to see an arts and society project that like completed exactly as they said in their proposal. And it makes sense because the world is fluid and you don't know what you know until you know it. So please find comfort in knowing that we support the fluidity of things, and we're really here to support your work and be a sounding board as you're working through these things. So the final report guidelines can be found on our Arts and Society website, and that link is here. And the guidelines will just list all of the things that you need to include. Let me see, I think, yeah, here, we got them listed here. So the first is a financial report, and the financial report is, how did you spend the money? And it might be close to your proposed budget, or it might be wildly different. There's things happen. And so the financial report is a place where you will document the finances and how they were spent during your project. And we do provide a financial report template for you to use for that process. Again, I'm here to help as these things come up, as you're working on them. And then if there are any major changes in the funding, for example, and inflation is real, right? And things are real in the world right now. So you might have budgeted that XYZ was going to cost 500 and now it's suddenly 850. And so you had to shift and juggle, including just a little bit of context about that in your financial report, saying, these are the things that we had to shift. It's helpful for our funders to see that. And it helps to kind of just tell the story of, from what we imagined when we envisioned this project and then what actually occurred, right? Then there's the narrative report. It's just saying what happened, what occurred, what work did you do, what lessons did you learn? And we do have a number of questions provided to kind of help you generate that. But the narrative report is really the story of the project. And then program reach and demographics. It's kind of what we refer to as AIS by the numbers. I did 100 performances, or we did 15 workshops with 35 kids each, or I mean, I'm literally just making up numbers, but that gives you an idea of what we're looking for there. And then your survey results, and we're going to talk more about evaluation in a minute, but survey results, these are the questions that you have asked your program participants and what they said in response. And again, we'll go over that in more detail shortly. And then lastly is the impact survey. And this is our survey evaluating our program, because Arts and Society also has to seeks to evaluate and learn from our program and our grantees as the project unfolds, as we see all of this manifest. And so I have those links. Also, it's so many links. I will follow up with an email with all of this as well, because I realize like every other word, I'm like, there's a link for that. It's all compiled, trust. But one of the links that you will have at the end of this meeting is a survey about this meeting. And we ask that you complete those surveys that we send after learning community meetings. And then also we will have kind of a final impact survey that we will send to you once you have completed your program or your project. Here's just some examples of the things that we're looking for project reach and demographics. Number of participants, specify event type. It was a workshop with 12 folks. And then after five workshops with 12 folks, we had a performance with 75 attendees. Again, just examples. Audience sizes, number of programs, workshops, performances, events, number of artists involved, and any other important measurables not listed. So you are each working in different communities, and you might have other folks that you want to include. I know several of you are working in older adult communities, and so maybe that's a number that you want to capture, for example.
So do they need to be part of the? Do they need to be part of the founding families? No, if it's family.
Was that a question? Okay. And I will have time for questions in just a second. We're just going to finish talking about this little bit here. Okay. So considerations as you're pulling these pieces together. The program reach and demographics information will be used by Arts and Society in our combined report to report program impacts. So again, helping, this whole process helps us also to report on Arts and Society back to our collaborative of funders and future funders that we want to loop into the collaborative to join us in funding this incredible work. And it really helps us to be able to show them these numbers. And then, that's how do we fully recognize that each program is different. There's different relationships, and these are just numbers. They're just numbers that reflect a certain part of it. I know that in funding and the kind of grant world, we can get really hung up on the quantitative, and like we're art people. So we're like, what? What do you mean the quantitative? And so I just want you all to know that we really take both parts of it very seriously. We want the numbers so we know who was there, but we also really value that qualitative narrative report. Okay. Just making sure I'm not missing anything in the chat. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I'm going to get into evaluation and surveys. So surveying your participants, audience members, etc. Any questions about reporting or anything before I go into that? And again, the questions will likely come up when you're working on this, which will be at the end of your project. So, absorb what you can now, but by all means ask questions in the future. Okay, So program surveys. So I want to say 2018, Arts and Society began a partnership with Dr. Michael Seaman and UCD to develop an evaluation toolkit. And this is a toolkit that AIS grantees can use to create surveys that are specific to their programs. This is key. Before I show you anything, I just want, because the evaluation toolkit that we have is wonderful, and it's also, it can seem like a lot at it exists that works for you, and you might not want to use any of the questions in our evaluation toolkit, and that's okay. We have one question that we require, and I'll get to that, but I don't ever want this process to feel, like an arbitrary requirement. This toolkit and our process around evaluation is really meant to help support this part of your work so that you can really just focus on the good stuff. So just want to kind of set the stage with that. The toolkit provides a bank of questions, and these questions are built around 6 separate themes: community development, aesthetic effect, awareness and action, capacity building, holistic economics, and overall satisfaction. And then within each of these themes, you'll have different people, individualized surveys who you are asking these questions. So you might have participant audience, artist, administrator. So these are just examples, and we find that most grantees will have some combination of these individualized surveys. But again, it's going to be different for everyone. And if you're working, you're going to have a different set of folks depending on what it is you're doing. So feel free to reach out to me as you're developing your surveys if you have questions about who you should be surveying. The one question that we do require, so one question, it's one required question that we ask that you ask your participants, and this can be, if you're working with youth, it's the youth, maybe it's the community members who are coming through and sharing their stories. Did you bring a teaching artist in to work with your students? Maybe it's the students and the teaching artists who you want to survey. But what we want to know from the folks who are doing this work with you, who are experiencing the manifestations of your project, we want to know, was art an effective tool for engaging the community about blank? And blank is the issue that you're addressing. And many of you are addressing multiple issues. So you get to decide what of this is the most important for you to ask? What do you want to know? So think about that question, and if you need to rephrase it to better suit your community, by all means. We really just want to get at this question about art being effective for engaging community about the issue at hand. So your survey results are reported in your final report. There is a place where you will upload that on the submittable final report link. And again, it's going to depend on who you surveyed, how many people, all of that. Some folks at the end of a project have a 2-page survey report from just asking their folks a couple of questions, and then some folks attach like 30 pages of surveys that they sent out to various people. So it's going to really vary from project to project. There's no right or wrong. It's what is going to work for you and your project, and what's actually going to be useful for you. Like, what do you actually want to know? What is actually useful for you to glean from the people who are engaging with your work? So, jumping ahead. So I'm just going to pull up the tool builder real quick, just so you can see what is she even talking about? Okay, so this is the first page of the tool builder. And again, all of these, this is all linked in the agenda that you received, and I will reshare it as well. So the evaluation tool builder first kind of breaks down exactly what I was just sharing, the different themes that are used for constructing these questions, as well as instructions for selecting the questions, and then some resources on evaluation. And I see you all requesting the document. I will accept your requests after this meeting. Okay, and then the other, so that's just the kind of the explanation of the process, and you know, here some instructions for the questions, and also, you know, emphasis on the one question that you do need to include. And you'll notice this, this is a number that tells you which question we're referring to. I'll show you the actual list of questions in a second here, but you know, this is OS4. OS is overall satisfaction. So we know that this question, the one question that we want you to ask, is about overall satisfaction, about art engaging community for your participants. And then the question master list. It is massive. It is a very big list because we want you to have options. And again, you might need to shift the language or adjust some of these to better fit the communities that you're working with. So, you know, take all of that into consideration. But here you can see we have theme, community development. And then within community development, we have different questions that you can ask different participants. This first one is for all folks that you can ask. Then we have questions for participants, questions for artists, questions for administrators. And then moving on to the theme of aesthetic effect. So here's a question for participants in aesthetic effect, for example. This Arts and Society project engaged multiple senses on a scale of 1 to 5. So these are examples. These are for you to, this is for you to use and adjust as you need to. So I see a comment in the chat already, and by all means, like, if you construct the survey that's going to work for you. The toolkit is really meant to be kind of a resource for you to build and to build on. So if you're like, I don't like the 3, I don't want to have a middle option, then you can do a scale of 1 to 4. It's fully up to you. And on that, you're going to have different needs around how you survey your participants depending on who they are. So the administrators, for example, those of you who are working with nonprofits and have nonprofit administrators working on your projects, those folks, you know, you can send them a SurveyMonkey link or a Google form link, and they'll fill it out, and you'll have that data, and you know, you're pretty confident that you'll be able to collect that. But if I send like a SurveyMonkey link to a middle schooler who's participating in my program, I don't know that I'm ever going to get that email. I don't know that they're even going to open it, right? And I know it's not just middle schoolers who avoid email, trust me. But that said, you know, you might want to adjust how you evaluate depending on the folks who you are in communication with. So these can be written surveys, they can be verbal surveys, they can be conversations that you're having, you're just taking notes. It's really up to you. I hope that the kind of open-endedness of it isn't too overwhelming. The point is that we know we can't just prescribe a survey for these projects because they're all so incredibly unique. And we want to provide something that can help you at least get your wheels turning about what you want to ask. And that's what the tool builder and evaluation tool questions are for. Okay, and then back to consideration. So some of these things I already touched on, but we'll go ahead and go over them. So again, we have the 4 groups that we've identified that most projects will want to survey: participant audience, artist, administrator. And the difference between participant and participant audience is, for example, if you're doing a program with, I'm just going to spitball here. Let's say you have a teaching artist putting together a theater performance with teenagers at the local community theater. Then your teaching artist is going to be the artist that needs to be surveyed. The participant will be the youth that engaged in the program. Participant audience are all the folks who came and saw the performance. And then the administrator is all of you who are behind the scenes doing this amazing work and putting the program together. And we know there's going to be overlap, right? Because we all contain multitudes, and many of us are doing many things. And that's okay. You know, you get to decide kind of which surveys are going to be best for which groups and who those folks are that you want to survey. Again, emphasizing that one question that we require. And then, oops, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Too many technologies. Again, okay, I already mentioned this, the investment and attention span of the group completing the survey should be considered. So again, you might want to, there might be some folks who it's like that one question is the only question you ask them, and that's okay. You know best what's going to be the best way to communicate with the folks you're engaging with, and you know what you want to know. And if you don't know yet, that's okay. I can help you figure that out. The toolkit is also there to help you figure that out. But again, these surveys should be helpful to you, should be an opportunity for you to get information that will help you grow, improve, hopefully continue to fund your work. And again, you might be doing electronic surveys, paper surveys, one-on-one interviews. It's going to vary depending on your community. Now, why do we evaluate? I know this might seem like an obvious question, depending on your experience working in nonprofits and granting, but you know, kind of first and foremost, this data really helps. It helps funders understand what's actually happening, what people are actually experiencing, and it helps to inform future funding decisions, which I think is probably the most important, one of the most important pieces of it, because it really helps when we bring these reports to our funding collaborative. It really helps them to see, you know, wow, this project proposed that they were going to do this, and then all of these things happened, and now this is what they did, and they still managed to do all of this, even though these, you know, they had to change XYZ. You know, those narratives really help paint a picture of what is actually needed in our communities. It also really helps to paint a clear picture of the impact that your program had, and this impact is really valuable. It's important, and sometimes it is just so ephemeral. Like sometimes that impact, it's just like it happens, and then it almost just like you don't get to kind of hold it in your hands, right? And so this is an opportunity to make tangible that impact through the report, through painting a picture of what you did, so that you can continue to do the work, you can continue to get funding, and you can learn from what you did, so that as you continue your programs, you'll say, okay, well, now that I did this and we asked all these questions and I see who actually showed up, like now we actually need to change how we're doing this, or we need to adjust, or there's a whole group of people who are valuing this work that we didn't even account for before, and now we want to bring them in. So, you know, it allows you to really process your work and give you an opportunity to grow. And I'll also say, you know, for your program evaluations, for this first point here, it's going to vary again for each of you. You might just do one survey at the very end for all of your participants. Or you might want to do smaller, short surveys throughout. And so it's going to vary on, again, your needs and what you are wanting to accomplish. I do find that the formative evaluation, where you're doing informal surveys throughout the process, can be helpful if you want to be able to make adaptations as you're going, right? So was this first workshop? What did you gain from this first workshop? What would you want to learn? Formative evaluation can help you kind of affect the program as it's happening. And I saw, Tom, you had your hand up.
Yes, thanks, Lotta.
I will take the opportunity to take a swig.
I mean, I got to say, I don't think I've ever worked with a funder who's had such a kind of comprehensive tool guide for projects. So thank you for this. One real nitpicky question is the word art in that mandatory question, was art an effective tool? Is that set in stone, or is it okay to shift that to a specific form of art, film arts?
Absolutely. Yeah. You can totally adjust it.
Okay. And the second one, and you may have said this, so I'm sorry if you did, but if we come up with questions specific to our partnership with our external evaluator that are different or new in some way, do we need to run those by you before, or?
No, not at all. If you have, so some of you will have evaluation budgeted into your programs, and you might be working with an evaluator, as you mentioned, Tom. In that case, please don't double your efforts. There's no reason. Again, this is really meant to be helpful, not an added thing. We do want you to ask that question. So if you can incorporate that question as it applies to you and your work, but if you can incorporate that question into the evaluation work you're doing, we would really, really appreciate that. And we fully understand that if let me put it this way. We understand that the amount of funding that this grant provides really isn't enough to fully hire on an evaluation firm, right? I mean, unlikely. And so we really want to provide a tool for you. That being said, we know many of you are working with external evaluators, and we do not want to step on those toes by any means. We want to support that work. So I hope that helps.
Very much. Thank you.
Okay, so here's really the first thing to be thinking about as you're considering evaluation. Creating a good survey really means knowing what you want, and this can be hard in many facets of life to know what you want. But when you're creating your surveys, before you start looking at questions and building things, really think about what are your intended outcomes and what kind of indicators will help you measure that success. So what do you want to know, and how do you think you can figure it out? How can you find it out? What are the indicators through the work that you're doing that will help you see that impact? And be specific and realistic. So ask questions that will help you to understand the direct impacts of your program, and will help you to evaluate whether or not you've met your goals, or if your goals have changed, or it'll give you it's an opportunity again for that processing and reflection. And we want you to be, again, specific and realistic. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Really think about what is the most valuable information for you to glean. And I'm just going to share a couple of resources with you. Again, this is all in the agenda that was shared with you, and I will resend all of this again. But these resources I'm about to share are documents and research that supported the creation of our evaluation toolkit. So the evaluation toolkit was really, and Arts and Society as a whole was really founded using the Animating Democracy's Continuum of Impact. And it's a mouthful, but it is an incredible resource that helps you to answer all of these questions I was just asking. Who do you want to interview? What questions do you want to ask? How do you know? How do you want to, how do you identify, indicators of impact, and how do you ask these questions? So the continuum of impact is a collection of resources and research on kind of how to ask these questions. And so I'm not going to pull up the full link because it's a very long document. And so it's very much like, how deep and nerdy do you want to get into this stuff? But I find it a very, very helpful document to kind of understand the foundations of a lot of this. And again, it just helps get the wheels turning about what you actually want to ask. Same thing with the aesthetics perspective framework. And this is also from Animating Democracy. And this, I think, helps to really kind of connect this idea of art and then the actual kind of what is happening on the ground. How is it impacting and affecting communities? How is it changing and shifting community minds? So again, this is the kind of deeper, more like philosophical. I mean, it's very applicable stuff, but I just don't want anyone to feel overwhelmed by large documents. This is like deeper reading if you really want to get into the nuts and bolts of some of the framework that that arts and society and our evaluation process was really founded on. Okay, and then the last thing about reporting is sharing your reporting your survey data. So once you've asked all these questions, once you've gotten responses, how do you share it? And so we will basically, there will be a part on the submittable where you upload a document for your survey data, and there'll be different file types that you can choose. But this is an example of a past grantee family theater company, and an example of the ways that they presented their survey data in 2019. And so you can see, and this is just one page of it. I have a link to their full survey data as an example. So you will also have that. I believe it's also in the agenda, but I'll share it after the meeting. And so you can see the kind of all of the different groups, but here you can see they started off by the first group they interviewed or surveyed were actors and stage managers. Actors and stage managers was not one of the ones that we listed, but it's one of the ones that this is what makes sense for them. So I think it's a good example of, you know, if participant audience doesn't sound good, you know, how do you identify these groups? You get to decide. And then you can see they listed how many surveys were sent, how many were completed, and then they included the stats of those responses. So this is just an example of how you can present your data. Again, it's up to you, but I really want this process to feel helpful and to be something that when you go back and look at it, you're like, oh yeah, this is helpful. It was a good thing to put all of this together. And so put this reporting, put the survey data together in a way that is helpful to you. Whew, that was a lot. That was a lot, right? Evaluation, reporting. Before I jump into, actually, I'm gonna go back to this so you're not reading the homework, because I want to make a little bit of time for questions about all of this stuff before we go into our final thoughts. So just unmute yourself if you have questions about reporting, evaluation, any of the things that we just brought up. No question.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment.
Sure.
I just find this incredibly helpful because we as a company are trying to streamline some of the ways in which we do evaluation in other programs. So just I applaud y'all and I thank you. I think Kate actually made a similar comment. So thank you.
Yay. Oh, awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Good stuff. And, you know, when it comes to questions, I know the questions will come when you start building your surveys, when you're ready to report, when you get to these points in the process. So you know, I'm here when those questions come up. Yeah, I just don't want anyone worrying about any of those things, because it's a lot. And there's just like a tendency in our culture to really lose sleep over mundane administrative things. And I don't want that to ever be the case for you all, because you're doing such awesome work that is just like really, really fun and like too cool to be bogged down by the mundane. So don't stress, you got this. And I'm here to help you as you get to each of these points in your project and are ready to do all of these bits and pieces. Okay, so oh, we have a comment from Karen. This is good. It is also important to ask questions that are not in the positive direction, i.e. give respondents to share challenges or things that didn't work. That's an awesome comment, Karen. Thank you. As you are putting your surveys together, don't be afraid to ask what didn't work, or what could have been better. Yes, a chance to share. All right, so I know the first half of this meeting was just like a blissful dream, hearing everyone's amazing projects, and everyone was just feverishly writing down all of the people that they want to connect with and talk to. So what I want to do is help you to connect with each other after this meeting. So first piece of your homework, yes, you have homework. It's hopefully very, very light load. The first piece of your homework is to complete this form linked here, and this is also linked on the agenda, but this form will help us to know who you are and what contact information you want shared with grantees. I will pull all of this together and create a grantee contact sheet that gets shared out with all of you. So this is where you put the information that you want shared with the rest of the cohort. And this will make it easier for you all to connect. And then we have a survey. We have a survey about this meeting and what you got from it, what worked and what didn't. So please complete that survey. Again, the link is on the agenda and I'll share it out after the meeting. And then the super fun part of your homework is to connect, which I have a feeling everyone is really eager to do already. So that's good. After learning about all of the different arts and society projects, identify 2 to 3 fellow grantees you want to reach out to. And these can be folks whose projects just interest you. You're like, wow, that just sounds really cool. Or maybe they're folks who are close to you geographically and you're like, dang, we're both in this area doing this cool stuff. Maybe we can connect. Or maybe it's just work that deeply aligns with the work that you're doing. And it feels, you know, like, man, we're on other sides of Colorado, but we're totally aligned. Like, let's talk. So I really want you to use this cohort to its fullest. This is a powerhouse. I mean, a powerhouse room of folks here. You are all doing amazing work, despite all kinds of wackiness in the world. And you deserve the community of like-minded powerhouse folks. So this is your community, and I want you all to take advantage and really use each other. So you will all fill out the form with your contact info, and then I will share that out with all of you so you can get to emailing and texting and all of that good stuff. All right, the last slide. Our next learning community meeting will be on Friday, June 30th. Location TBA, we are kind of in communication right now about a spot where we could gather that is not Denver, because we would like to maybe not be so Denver centric. And so we're looking at some other locations right now, and we'll be in communication with plenty of advanced warning, so you all can make travel plans. And that meeting is going to be really fun. We might, if you all want, and I'll be reaching out to everyone, but perhaps we'll do a workshop more specifically more detailed about marketing, or maybe there's something else that you all want to talk about. I also really like to take this opportunity to make art with you, because we are all artists and we are all creative individuals. And when we do this work, it can be easy to get caught up in the muck of it. And it's good muck, right? We love it. But I like to take time for us to nurture our creative selves as well. So I might make you collage. I probably will make you collage. All right, so that is the end of our meeting. You have my email here. Any questions or anything folks want to share before we break a little early? Oh, the chat is so great. You all are wonderful. Yay. Good stuff. All right, folks. Well, I will hang on the call until 1:30, a little bit after 1:30, if folks have questions and want to chat. But otherwise, you are all good. You have absorbed so much. And now I just want you to go and soak up your Friday and find some time for rest.